Good afternoon, everyone. We continue tracking the Air India Dreamliner crash into Ahmedabad College hostel yesterday that killed over 240 persons. This is India's worst aviation tragedy in recent times. Prime Minister Modi has visited the collapse site. He has also met with people in the hospital. We'll get you all that and more. But first up, the headlines. Government considering Dreamliner safety probe. Sources say that domestic 787 fleet could be grounded. Safety review of Boeing 787 fleet in India. India's biggest air tragedy in 3 decades. Multi-agency probe is underway. Search is on for the black box and also key to Mayday call.
कि थोड़ा इधर पेश है मैं ट्राई कर सकता हूँ निकलने के लिए तो मैंने ट्राई किया निकलने के लिए तो फिर मैं निकल
Lone survivor of this tragedy narrates his ordeal. In fact, Prime Minister Modi has also met him. This is a survivor who was from Britain and he is an Indian by origins. He says that he did not think that he would survive. Prime Minister Modi is in Ahmedabad today. He has visited the crash site. He's also visited hospitals. In fact, he's also held crucial review meetings with top-ranking officials and also ministers. This is also India's most expensive aviation claim. This is the potential 2,400 crore demand claimed for damage and loss of lives. Meanwhile, Israel has launched preemptive strikes against Iran. Iran airspace has been closed now. Multiple flights have been diverted. 16 Air India flights diverted or returning to origins. Well, the Air India Ahmedabad London flight that crashed marks Boeing 787 Dreamliner's first fatal crash since the aircraft's debut in 2011. In fact, what we understand is that the government is mulling grounding this fleet, and this call is being taken basis the probe that has already been expedited. 787 fleet is under scanner now. Air India operates 33 Dreamliners across the world. Air India's statement is awaited. Before Thursday's crash, the Boeing 787 Dreamliner fleet had an immaculate record of 1,000 planes delivered around the world in 14 years since it was launched. But Boeing's program for 787 has suffered several setbacks in the last few years, including repeated and costly delivery suspensions between 2021 and also 2023. And this was mainly due to assembly faults and manufacturing quality issues. My colleague Sessa from NDTV Profit has the details.
The Ministry of Civil Aviation is considering a safety review of the domestic fleet of Dreamliners following the devastating crash of an Air India Boeing 787 aircraft which claimed lives of 241 out of the 242 people that were on board of the London-bound flight, which is seen as the deadliest air disaster globally in a decade. Sources say that as a precautionary measures, authorities are likely to look at the possibility of temporary grounding of all Boeing 787 aircraft with initial safety inquiries underway. Several stakeholders, including Tata Group, Boeing India, the US National Transportation Safety Board, as well as the Federal Aviation Administration, are engaged in discussion. A final decision hinges on the investigation's final findings. Meanwhile, Air India, which operates 34 Dreamliners, the largest fleet among Indian carriers, is also likely to face scrutiny, especially regarding maintenance practices. The crash has prompted international attention, with the NTSB leading a team of investigators from the US alongside Boeing and engine manufacturer GE Aerospace. Meanwhile, the Indian Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau is also probing the incident, with a preliminary report expected in about a months' time. Now, this particular tragedy is, not only raises questions about the aircraft's safety, but may also lead to a global review of Dreamliner's safety protocols as authorities seek to prevent such disasters in the future. We will keep you updated as the investigation progresses.
Colossal human tragedy is being witnessed by the people of the country today. This is the worst aviation tragedy that India has seen in the last many years. And at the front of this are lives, precious lives that have been lost. And one of them was of Khushbu Rajpurohit, a young bride, somebody who got married just 5 months ago. And she was all set to travel to London to meet her husband and live with him for the first time. And that's a selfie with her father. She tragically lost her life yesterday. Joining us now is her brother, her cousin, Than Singh Rajput. थैंक यू थान सिंह जी हमसे बात करने के लिए. मैं समझती हूँ कि आपके लिए, आपके परिवार के लिए ये बहुत ही ज़्यादा सैड टाइम है. ये बताइए कि आपके मन में क्या चल रहा है सर, क्योंकि ये बहुत बड़ी घटना हुई है, आपने अपनी बहन को खोया है. आपके मन में अभी क्या चल रहा है?
देखिए, हमारे मन में तो क्या चलना है. हमारे परिवार का सदस्य था, वो हमसे छीन लिया गया. अब हमारे पास चलने के लिए क्या, मन में ये चल रहा था कि बहन बाहर जाएगी, लंदन अपने सपनों की उड़ान उड़ेगी, और अब क्या रहा.
थान सिंह जी, थोड़ा अपनी बहन के बारे में बताइए कि हमने उनके फोटोज देखे थे और वो बहुत खुश लग रही थी. उनके क्या एक्सपेक्टेशंस थे, थोड़ा उनके बारे में बताइए. कैसी थी वो, और उनके बारे में सबसे अच्छी बात क्या थी?
देखिए, वो हमारा जो पारिवारिक कल्चर है उस हिसाब से वो हमेशा हमारे साथ में रही, और प्रथम बार वो बाहर की यात्रा कर रही थी. कभी इंडिया में भी बाहर कहीं नहीं गई. वो यहीं पढ़ाई की, यहीं परिवार के बीच में रही, दादाजी के साथ. फिर बाद में शादी हुई और अब जा रही थी बाहर. लेकिन दुख की बात यह है कि 72 घंटे का हमें समय दिया गया. इस समय को हम गुजारे कैसे यहाँ अहमदाबाद में बैठे बैठे. सबसे बड़ी दुख की बात यह है, 72 भारत आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव मना रहा है, और आज आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव में हमारे सामने ये विपदा खड़ी है कि 72 घंटे लगेंगे हमारी पारिवारिक सदस्य की बॉडी को पहचानने में. ये बड़ा दुख का विषय है. कहाँ है भारत का सिस्टम? कोई हमें बता सकता है क्या, ये आपकी बहन है, ये आपकी बेटी है? कोई है हमारे सामने ऐसा महान पुरुष जो आके बोले कि ये आपकी बेटी है और आप ले जाइए इसका शव और अंतिम संस्कार कीजिए? हमारे सामने दिक्कत अब दूसरी खड़ी हो गई है.
सर, इसके बारे में थोड़ा बताइए, क्योंकि बॉडीज बहुत ही ज़्यादा चार्ड हैं और बताया जा रहा है कि डीएनए टेस्टिंग हो रही है. लेकिन मैं समझती हूँ कि बहुत ही दुख का समय है, और जिस तरह ये हादसा हुआ है उससे भी काफ़ी चैलेंजेस बढ़ गए हैं. अभी आपकी फैमिली को किस तरह की दिक्कतों का सामना करना पड़ रहा है?
मैडम, आज हम हिंदू धर्म में रहने वाले लोग हैं. हमारे में दाह संस्कार, अग्नि संस्कार, ये जो होता है कितना बड़ा होता है. अगर आज 72 घंटे बाद, 72 घंटे तक हमें समय दिया गया है कि 72 घंटे बाद बॉडी मिलेगी, क्या भारत की ट्रेनों पे, भारत के बड़े बड़े हर जगह पे होर्डिंग लगाकर आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव इसलिए मनाया जा रहा था कि किसी परिवार में कोई घटना हो जाए और उस घटना के बाद उनको ले जाने के लिए 72 घंटे, 80 घंटे, 5 दिन वेट करना पड़े? क्या यही भारत का आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव है? मैं भारत सरकार से सवाल कर रहा हूँ. आज मेरे परिवार की पीड़ा के नाते सवाल कर रहा हूँ. मैं अहमदाबाद में बैठा हूँ कल रात से.
राइट. थान सिंह जी, मेरा आखिरी सवाल आपको इस क्रैश के बारे में,
मुझे इस सवाल का जवाब देगा? कोई है भारत में ऐसा आदमी?
जी नहीं, हम समझते हैं कि बहुत ही ज़्यादा एक इम्पॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन भी है आपके लिए. ये थोड़ा सा बता दीजिए कि आपको इस क्रैश के बारे में पता कैसे चला था सर, और इमीडिएटली आप लोगों ने क्या किया था, और आपको बताया किसने इसके बारे में?
जैसे ही हमें पता चला, हम राजस्थान में थे, इसके पिताजी यहाँ आए हुए थे. इसके पिताजी यहाँ आए हुए थे. जैसे पता चला, हम लोग तुरंत वहां से जो बालोतरा से यहाँ अहमदाबाद के लिए निकल गए हम लोग.
राइट. राइट, थैंक यू धान सिंह जी हमसे बात करने के लिए. हमारे प्रेयर्स आपके साथ हैं. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर स्पीकिंग टू अस. मूविंग ऑन टू अदर स्टोरीज नाउ. Pilot errors or engine failures are amongst the theories that are being bandied about. But what we know so far that this is a colossal human tragedy that's unfolding in Ahmedabad, and we're getting you details about this with utmost sensitivity. But the recovery of flight Air India 171's black box is something that would help experts understand, give us some concrete answers as to how and why this crash happened. But this is also a setback to Boeing's reputation and the importance that it gives to safety. What we understand is that the company has already come out with its official statement yesterday saying that its thoughts are with passengers, crew and first responders and all those who have been affected by this tragedy. It has said that it is working with Air India to gather more information on the crash. But when stock markets closed in New York yesterday, Boeing shares were around 5%. They were down by nearly 5%. Boeing in the last few months has also faced serious questions over its safety practices. In April, the company had said that it had improved operational performance from ongoing focus on safety and quality.
The important thing to look back on now as we report on the Ahmedabad crash is Boeing's track record over the last 5 years, which has been, to say the least, a very, very turbulent one. It has faced a probe over two very similar crashes that took place. This was of a different aircraft type. This was the 737 MAX, which, as you know, was globally grounded for a very long time, leading to one of the largest aviation investigations in history. The Lion Air flight and the Ethiopian Air flight, the crashes that took place in which 346 people had died, sparked one of the deepest and most damaging investigations into Boeing. The 737 MAX aircraft in 2024, after the investigation was complete and the aircraft were back in the air, lost a door panel mid-air. This was an Air Alaska flight. There were no lives lost in this particular accident, but this led to a huge amount of scrutiny as far as factory floor quality control, something that Boeing has always prided itself on, but that became a big talking point as well. Boeing's brand has been taking a beating for about 5 to 6 years now, with the 737 MAX especially now. The whistleblower aspect of Boeing's troubles has been something in the media highlights for a while very sharply, especially John Barnett, who raised many safety concerns, and gave the impression that it was an "I told you so" moment as far as many of these accidents was concerned. He's warned of unsafe manufacturing practices. He'd put out a great deal of information suggesting that he had raised the flag on some of these practices in the past as well. He said that Boeing had responded to Barnett saying that the issues raised by him don't directly affect aviation safety. But John Barnett was found dead in March 2024, adding a very insidious sort of color to this entire thing. Now, the 787 issue becomes personal because the CEO of Boeing, Kelly Ortberg, has had to deal with troubles with the 787 in the past, even though Flight 171's crash is the first accident involving the Boeing Dreamliner, which is otherwise a very well-regarded aircraft. It has had troubles, and Kelly Ortberg will now be challenged by the effort to restore that trust. It's already been facing what I just described to you with the Boeing 737 MAX and now the 787 as well. Like I said, the post-crash effect financially on Boeing has had a telling effect. Their shares have already tanked by about 5%. So that's a shareholder challenge that Boeing will have to look like. The 787 Dreamliner, which was introduced in 2011, carried its billionth passenger last month. It's a widely used, widely operated wide-body passenger jet. At a loss of $11.8 billion is one of the big financial crises that Boeing actually faces in 2024 and going into this year. Total losses since 2019 is a staggering $35 billion. This is an enormous old aviation giant, but this has actually started to hurt. So the financial issues, the suspense and questions over safety will continue, to haunt Boeing. Fatalities in this particular accident, 241, like we've been reporting here on NDTV, one sole survivor who just met the Prime Minister as well. But 241 makes this one of the biggest and most damaging accidents involving a Boeing aircraft. There was a 737 crash in 2024 of Jeju Airlines 179 people died in that particular accident. Let's move on to the next one. There are other. This was a Boeing 737, once again, 21. This was the Air India Express in Kozhikode in Kerala, which had landed and broken apart after landing. 21 people had died in that particular crash. Benny had thankfully survived as well. The 737 MAX 8 air crash, this was the Lion Air crash that I was referring to at the beginning of this video. 189 people crashed in that. This is the genesis of what became that bigger investigation. And then you had the Ethiopian air crash as well, just a few months later, in which 157 people died. It all came down to something called the MCAS, or Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, which became a buzzword, a piece of software that spawned an enormous investigation into Boeing. So over nearly 400 people dying in two aircraft accidents spawned perhaps the biggest dark period as far as Boeing's reputation is concerned. There was a Bihar crash in 2000 in which a Boeing 737-200 crashed. 60 people had died in that particular crash. So what we do know right now about the Dreamliners, and like I said, these are aircraft that are wide-body, twin-engine aircraft built for efficiency and speed. Boeing's, big answer to aircraft from its rival Airbus. This is the first crash involving the 787 Dreamliner type since its introduction in 2011.
Well, the terrace of the college mess, where the tail section of the aircraft was located where it crashed, is now being broken, and this is to recover crucial pieces of evidence that will help experts piece together, in fact, reconstruct what really happened, what went wrong. When an aviation accident occurs, what we understand is that a meticulous process is set in motion, starting with retrieving and analyzing flight data captured on various recorders, including the flight data recorder and also something called the cockpit voice recorder. And these are all part of the black boxes. Aircraft black boxes are painted bright orange, and they are built to withstand all kinds of forces and impact, including fire, water pressure, and extreme temperatures. Every commercial aircraft has two black boxes. What we understand is that there is a search for that black box, which will help experts reconstruct what went wrong and to also find out the reasons what led to this crash. My colleague Ankit has details from the ground on this.
India is going to have a lead on this. Beyond the scrutiny of Boeing, the important thing is to try and figure out what went wrong. And that would only happen once the black box is recovered. Remember, 737 Dreamliner, this is one of the major aircraft on long-haul flights, not just being flown by Air India, but many other airlines as well. So they would be, in fact, also be waiting anxiously to exactly know what went wrong as far as this entire accident is concerned. On your question about the experts, so what we know is that from United Kingdom, there is a team which is coming to assist the investigation, which the Indian, in fact, aircraft accident bureau is doing. And apart from that, there is a team for Boeing as well, which will come and access. Now, very quickly, just about the black box, the data recorder, the black box that we are talking about, we've been telling our viewers simultaneously that though it is called the black box, but it is an orange painted sort of a thing which is very securely put at the tail end or the rear end of the aircraft, and it is designed to take substantial punishment, G-forces. It can also a high impact burning. If it goes underwater, then there are provisions that a transponder starts emitting a signal so that it can be in fact found. But since this was low altitude, I don't know whether the transponder mechanism works or not. But the fact is, if the black box is recovered and if it is undamaged, which we have seen in one of the major crashes as well, it is largely a plug-and-play game. They will put it in a system and they will start receiving the data immediately. So that becomes very important. Yesterday, teams, as you were saying, from the DGCA, Civil Aviation Ministry, along with the aircraft accident investigation teams of India, the Bureau, had all come here. I was told about more than 3 dozen people, 30 36 to 40 people had arrived yesterday in this multidisciplinary team. Apart from that, there are some teams from the defense forces as well, those who are helping them investigate the crash. As far as the international teams are concerned, we don't have a timeline to that. But Boeing already, have been told, has dispatched engineers and their teams to assist the investigation. Now, in this entire matter, 2-3 things become very, very important. Number one, they will come and assess how the plane disintegrated. So this entire area, which was photographed extensively by the teams which were investigating this last night, at around 11 o'clock, they reached here. They made 6 to 7 teams comprising of 5 to 8 people, which went to different areas to understand what happened, and also to take multiple pictures and visuals of this, so that can be put together to understand what happened at the point of impact, where all did the debris fall.
Well, moving on, a day after the tragic Dreamliner crash in Ahmedabad, in which 241 passengers died and several others in that college where it crashed, Prime Minister Modi visited the Air India crash site in Ahmedabad today. He also met the lone survivor of the crash at the civil hospital. In fact, this was an Indian origin British national called Vishwas Kumar Ramesh, and he met him at the hospital. At least several students, in fact, have also died at the BJ Medical College, which is where the plane had crashed. In fact, a forensic team is in Ahmedabad, and it is looking at all possible evidence that will lead us to reasons for this. The crash took place seconds after AI 171 took off for London from Ahmedabad's Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport. Officials say that the flight lost altitude soon after taking off at around 1:30 p.m. before crashing into the residential quarters of BJ Medical College, Doctors Meghani Nagar area in Ahmedabad, and it went up in flames soon after, and it sent plumes of thick smoke spiraling in the air across the city. The Prime Minister today, in fact, met this miracle survivor today, Kumar Vishwas Ramesh, and in fact, this is also the face of human tragedy that's something that the country is witnessing now. And the Prime Minister has told top-ranking officials today that the priority is to ensure that families of victims are given their bodies without much hassle. In fact, the DNA testing is already underway in several hospitals in Ahmedabad. Let's also look at some visuals of the Prime Minister meeting the lone survivor of this tragedy.
अहमदाबाद से लंदन के लिए जो फ्लाइट जा रही थी, उस फ्लाइट में 242 लोग सवार थे और उनमें 2 पायलट थे और इसके अलावा 10 क्रू मेंबर थे और 230 जो आम लोग थे, जिसमें विदेशी भी शामिल थे। विश्वास कुमार इस समय हमारे साथ हैं। आपको बता दें कि विश्वास कुमार इकलौते ऐसे शख्स हैं जो उस हादसे में जिंदा बचे, और ये एक तरीके से चमत्कार है, क्योंकि ऐसे चमत्कार बहुत ही कम देखने को मिलते हैं। प्रधानमंत्री यहाँ पर पहुंचे, विश्वास कुमार से उन्होंने बातचीत की, उनका हालचाल जाना।
सर ने पूछा कि कैसे हुआ, तो मैंने उसके बारे में बताया और सब हालचाल पूछा सब।
विश्वास, अगर हम जानना चाहें कि आप थोड़ा सा बता पाएं कि ये हादसा कैसे हुआ था, क्योंकि ये एक बड़ा चमत्कार है जिस तरीके से आप वहाँ से इकलौते ऐसे शख्स हैं जो जिंदा बचे।
वो मेरे नज़रों के सब सामने हुआ था। मेरे खुद को भी बिलीव नहीं होता कि मैं कैसे उसमें से जिंदा बाहर निकला, क्योंकि थोड़ा टाइम लिए कि तो मेरे को लगा था कि मैं भी मरने वाला हूँ, लेकिन जब मेरी आँख खुल के मैं देखा ना, तो मुझे लगा मैं जिंदा हूँ। तो मैंने ट्राई किया, जब मेरी सीट थे वो मेरी बेल्ट निकाला, मैंने वो ट्राई किया जहाँ से निकल सकता वहाँ से, तो मैं निकल गया वहाँ से। मेरे नज़रों के सामने एयर हॉस्टल और दूसरे आंटी अंकल सभी उसमें मिस हो गए थे सभी।
अच्छा, थोड़ा सा बता पाएं, जब जैसे ही टेक ऑफ हुई फ्लाइट, क्या हुआ था और अचानक से कैसे हादसा हुआ? टेक
ऑफ के बाद 1 मिनट के अंदर ही जब टेक ऑफ हुआ ना, तो सडनली 5-10 सेकंड कैसे लगा जैसे स्टक हो गया वो। बाद में से मेरे को लगा कि कुछ हुआ। बाद में प्लेन में लाइट ऑन हो गई, ग्रीन और वाइट। बाद में वो पता नहीं, वो प्लेन टेक ऑफ ज़्यादा करने के लिए वो रेस बोलते हैं क्या, रेस दिया होगा ऐसा कुछ, और सीधा स्पीड में ही घुस गया। जहाँ वो क्या था, वो
हॉस्टल था, एक हॉस्पिटल का।
हाँ, हॉस्टल में, और सब सामने सब हुआ।
ये जब फ्लाइट क्रैश हुई, उस समय हॉस्टल पे लैंड की थी, उसी समय आप बाहर निकले थे?
नहीं, क्योंकि आई थिंक मेरे को जब मैं जो साइड पे था ना, वो शायद हॉस्टल पे नहीं लैंड हुई थी, हॉस्टल के जो ग्राउंड फ्लोर है ना, जैसे नीचे वहाँ लैंड हुई थी। तो मुझे दूसरे के बारे में मेरे को पता नहीं, लेकिन मैं जहाँ लैंड हुआ था ना वो नीचे की साइड थी। तो जब वहाँ थोड़ा पेस भी था प्लेन के जब बाहर, तो जब जैसे मेरा डोर टूटा ना सब, तो मैंने देखा ना जब सामने कि थोड़ा इधर पेस है, तो मैं ट्राई कर सकता हूँ निकलने के लिए। तो मैंने ट्राई किया निकलने के लिए, तो फिर मैं निकल गया उधर, क्योंकि अपोजिट साइड पे था ना वो बिल्डिंग का वो था ना दीवार, तो उधर से कोई शायद नहीं निकल सका होगा, क्योंकि उधर पूरा उधर ही क्रैश हुआ था। मैं जो जहाँ था वहाँ ही थोड़ा पेस था। फिर भी मेरे पता नहीं मैं कैसे बचा हूँ, क्योंकि मेरे नज़र के सामने ही सब 2 एयर होस्टल वो अंकल आंटी सब उधर ही सब।
आप पैदल चल के आए वहाँ से निकल के?
हाँ, और थोड़ा जब आग लगी ना मेरा लेफ्ट हैंड भी जल गया थोड़ा। फिर एम्बुलेंस मेरे को उठा लेके इधर आया हॉस्पिटल में।
अभी इलाज वगैरह कैसा हो रहा है? अभी कैसा फील कर रहे हैं आप?
इलाज बहुत अच्छा है, यहाँ के लोग बहुत सपोर्टिंग है, बहुत अच्छा इलाज कर रहे हैं सब।
It's time for a short break. We'll be back in just a bit.
The last 1 month, if you see, the share prices of Genzol Engineering has fallen more than 58%.
Why are the rating firms calling the debt payments as default?
We have 2 credible credit rating agencies on March 4th coming and downgrading the stock to D.
Statements are consistently being proven wrong, and transactions are being taken place which are different from what they were originally pictured to be.
The company claimed it would roll out 6,400 electric vehicles. But what it has rolled out is a shocking scam. Funds meant for the project were funneled allegedly back to the promoters, the Jaggi brothers. What did the money buy? Not EVs, of course, but a lavish flat in Gurgaon's luxurious DLF Carmelias.
News is not just headlines, it is what impacts you. And news should never be mistaken for noise. What matters is the reality. Accurate, in-depth, and with the right perspective. For over 20 years, I have been a journalist, and never has clarity mattered more than now. At Newsnight, we go beyond the surface. We dissect the details, challenge the narratives, and bring you the unparalleled clarity you deserve in a world clouded by misinformation. We are bold, we are direct. Newsnight, for the news in your interest. Only on NDTV 24/7.
After 2 years of the India-Canada tensions, it's the big relationship reboot. Indian Prime Minister heads to the G7 summit. Indispensable India on the global stage. Modi's multilateral momentum. NDTV live from the G7 summit in Canada.
Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad, India's latest aviation disaster. India responds to the tragedy. Facts first, 100% ground reports.
Fuel that burnt this entire area.
Maximum reporters, maximum coverage on NDTV. If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India, it matters to India, it matters to India, and it matters to me, and it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru. Only on NDTV 24/7.
Why was there a hurry? Was it the government that was in a hurry?
I don't want to blame anyone.
Joining us today here in the NDTV newsroom.
Government cannot walk away from this responsibility.
Cricket is region of sort in this country.
Would you like to comment on what happened?
What is the condition of the injured at this point? How many people died?
What exactly happened? You have lost your daughter.
In the wake of Pahalgam, all eyes on the Amarnath Yatra. Amidst fear, faith and fortitude. India's biggest fight against terror. NDTV reports on the holy route, the Amarnath spirit.
Welcome back. The Air India aircraft carrying 242 passengers slammed into a doctor's hostel of a medical college yesterday, and this was some distance away from the end of the runway. Rescuers have confirmed only one passenger survived this tragedy. 5 people in the hostel were also killed. In fact, the numbers are also expected to go up. Official numbers are awaited though. The Ahmedabad airport CCTV footage showed a very short flight of 32 seconds from the time the landing gears left the runway to the time of the impact. Aviation experts have said that the final moments of the flight showed that the aircraft either struggled to generate thrust or lift. The exact cause behind the crash would be known after a few months following a detailed probe that has already been expedited. But what it surely was a massive human tragedy, a colossal human tragedy that's unfolding in Ahmedabad today. Stories of families that are still waiting at hospitals, at airports, and they're all in visibly shaken state, unable to believe what really happened to their loved ones. The tragedy has sent shockwaves through the global aviation community as well. It has also raised urgent questions on safety, oversight and accountability. But what we want to get you is also voices from family members of those who have lost their loved ones in this tragedy.
आपने अभी डीएनए सैंपल दिया है, कौन था आपका फ्लाइट में?
मेरी डॉटर थी।
क्या नाम है उनका?
टीनल मिस्त्री।
क्या बताया जा रहा है और कहाँ जा रहे थे, कुछ अगर शेयर कर पाएंगे?
वो आनंद से लंदन जा रही थी, अहमदाबाद से लंदन।
अच्छा, अहमदाबाद आनंद से आए थे आप आनंद से?
आनंद से।
अच्छा, क्या मकसद से जा रहे थे, कुछ बता पाएंगे?
उधर ही रहती थी, लंदन 1 साल से थी वो।
अच्छा।
वो वर्क परमिट में गई थी, उधर ही रहती थी और उसका अगले साल एक्सीडेंट हो गया था इंडिया में ही। फिर उसका वर्क परमिट था, उसको जाना ही पड़ता था, तो उसका ट्रीटमेंट पूरा नहीं हुआ था, तो ये ट्रीटमेंट के लिए वापस आई थी। उसका 7 या 8 टीथ निकल गया था।
अच्छा।
तो इम्प्लांट करवाया, तो पूरा दांत उसका नया लगवाया था।
क्या बता रहे हैं कुछ? अभी आपने सैंपल दिया है?
या 3 दिन लगेगा ऐसा बोले, 72 घंटा लगेगा।
तो खाली वो थे, मतलब मैरिड थे, किस तरीके का?
तो आप मैरिड की रजिस्टर करके गई थी। मैरिज तो उसका अगले साल करने का था, मैरिज नहीं हुआ था, मैरिज करने का था अगले साल।
Well, the victim from Maharashtra also spoke. The family member of a victim from Maharashtra also spoke to NDTV, and this is what they said.
ये फ़ोटो है रोशनी सोंदरे की, जो एयर इंडिया की जो फ़्लाइट में हादसा हुआ उसमें कैबिन क्रू थी। हम इस वक्त सिविल हॉस्पिटल में मौजूद है और ये डोंबिवली की रहने वाली थी। उनके पिताजी राजेंद्र, जो यहाँ पर अभी डीएनए सैंपल देके आए, हमसे बात कर रहे हैं। क्या कुछ बताया गया और किस तरीके से सैंपलिंग ली और आपको कैसे पता चला इस हादसे के बारे में?
दोपहर को मालूम पड़ा, जब दुर्घटना घटी उस टाइम हम लोग घर में थे, तो पता चलने के बाद हम लोग बोले चलो देखते किसका क्या है। उसने देखा तो मेरे लड़की का नाम था। हम लोग वहाँ से निकले और आ गए, बोला चलो फ्लाइट 7 बजे का फ्लाइट पकड़ा, डायरेक्ट इधर आए।
आखिरी बार कब बात हुई थी? क्योंकि एयर इंडिया में एयर होस्टेस थे, कैबिन क्रू थे, आना जाना।
11 तारीख को निकली, तभी मेरे से बात हुई उसकी। अचानक वो फ्लाइट लगी थी उसको, तो पहले के जैसे ही थे, तो बाद में ऐसा क्रैश का ये आया। उसका मम्मी बोला ऐसा ऐसा उसके फ्रेंड का फ़ोन आया है, तो क्रैश हो गया है। तो मैं बोला रुको ज़रा देखते अपन, इसका नाम है, उसमें अपने लड़की का नाम है कि नहीं। लेकिन बाद में पता चला उसका नाम था उसमें, और पता चला कि बहुत बड़ा क्रैश हो गया, इसीलिए कोई बच नहीं पाया उसमें से। क्यों जहाँ क्रैश हुआ वो इंस्टीट्यूट का आजू बाजू का भी सब उसमें घायल हो गया।
जी, तकरीबन 12 कैबिन क्रू थे, उसमें से आपकी बेटी भी बताई जा रही है। और यहाँ पर आकर किस तरीके की व्यवस्था हुई, सैंपल लिया गया, अब आगे क्या बताया जा रहा है आपको कि कब तक जांच रिपोर्ट आएगी और कुछ सामने आ पाएगा?
अभी वो डीएनए लिए है, डीएनए लेके वो सब हो गया उसका, और बाद में बोले अभी 72 घंटा, यानी कि हम लोग को लाके इधर होटल में रुकाया ताकि और दूसरों के पेरेंट जो है वो आएंगे, मिलेंगे, फिर उनका एयर इंडिया का जो HR है वो लेके आएंगे बाद में सब।
12 people from Rajasthan have lost their lives in that tragic accident in Ahmedabad. 5 of them from one family from Baswara. In fact, Dr. Prateek Joshi, who was a medical doctor and working in London, had just come back to take back with him his wife and his 3 children. He had been working in London for 3 years, and he wanted his family to move with him permanently and start a new life. He took a very happy selfie with his wife and his 3 children. His wife, Dr. Komi Vyas, also a doctor, sitting next to him in the aircraft. She'd quit her job in Udaipur to move to London with her husband and her 3 children across the aisle, their 8-year-old daughter and their twin boys. There was also a young girl, Payal Khatik, who was going to London to pursue medicine. There was a young bride, Khushbu, from a small village in Rajasthan's Balotra area. She'd just been married a few months ago. She was traveling to London to be with her husband for the first time. Her last photograph too with her father at the airport. A slightly nervous, winsome smile as she leaves the family behind to go and meet her husband, who she's known perhaps for a very short time. She was recently married. There were also these cooks who were traveling on that flight. They used to regularly be in and out of London. They used to work in the house of an Ahmedabad-based businessman. And then 2 young children, about in their 20s, youngsters in their early 20s, Shubh and Shagun Modi, brother and sister, both of them successful MBA graduates who were working with their father, a marble-based trader in Udaipur. They were handling the family business. He lost both his children in that tragic air crash in one go. Brother and sister both have died. And there was also Abhinav Parihar, who leaves behind a young wife and a small child. He also had business in London. He was also on that flight. So 12 people from Rajasthan died in that air crash. Some of them posted pictures just minutes before the plane took off. They've left behind devastated families, and perhaps forever those pictures which show their happy smiles trying to start a new life. But unfortunately, that was not to be.
Well, the Middle East is once again on the edge as Israel has carried out strikes on Iran's nuclear program early on Friday, with blasts that have been heard in Tehran, Iran's capital city. Iran has also now retaliated to the attack, and it has fired 100 drones towards Israel. Israel has declared a state of emergency, saying that the country expected retaliation. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that these strikes are part of Operation Rising Lion, and he also said that Iran was a threat to Israel's very existence.
Moments ago, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat to Israel's very survival. This operation will continue for as many days as it takes to remove this threat. For decades, the tyrants of Tehran have brazenly, openly called for Israel's destruction. They've backed up their genocidal rhetoric with a program to develop nuclear weapons.
The Middle East is once again on the edge as Israel has carried out strikes on Iran's nuclear program, and this happened early on Friday. Blasts have been heard in the capital city of Iran, Tehran. Iran has retaliated to the attack and it has fired 100 drones towards Israel. My colleague Vishal joins us with more details on this. Vishal, we've often heard of this proxy conflict between Iran and Israel. Even in 2024, we saw that getting escalated. But today there are reports of Israel striking not just the missile factories of Iran, but also nuclear establishments. Tell us what is going on.
The latest is that Iran has also retaliated and fired about 100 drones in the direction of Israel. Those drones have reached Israeli skies, but they have almost all been obliterated, all been intercepted by the Iron Dome missile system of Israel, the most sophisticated missile system in the world. So it remains to be seen what Israel does now, because the damage has mostly been done by Israel already. So far, there are no reports as to how many people have died on Iranian soil, but the damage is extensive. As you mentioned, nuclear facilities have been attacked. Top scientists have been killed, some top generals have been killed, and also reports of women and children being killed are also there, which need to be verified, but it seems that there has been an extensive damage. Iran has vowed that there will be big price to pay from Israeli side. It remains to be seen what happens on that front, and also in this mix is the US. What US does now will also be seen closely, because US has a lot of bases in the Middle East which are also at the risk of being attacked from Iran. So that will also have to be seen.
Right, Vishal, also help us quickly understand what does this mean for Benjamin Netanyahu, because we have seen even Iran's foreign minister in the past in some ways ridicule Mr. Netanyahu, saying that, it's only a few times that you can cry wolf, but clearly Mr. Netanyahu has done something that he has been waiting for several years.
Yeah, so these strikes were, expected to happen, because in the last 48 hours or so, there were many reports, especially in the US media, pointing to the fact that Israel is almost ready to attack Iran. But nobody had an idea this would be such a big attack, so that remains to be seen how Iran responds to that. But this is a big escalation in the Middle East. Whether or not this spirals into a big all-out war, that remains to be seen. So far, US has said that it is not involved in this operation, but Iran has said that that won't be possible, because without the support of US, such a big scale attack wouldn't have been possible.
Right. Thank you, Vishal, for joining us with those very important details. We'll keep coming back to you as and when there are developments in the story. Meanwhile, a day after 241 people were killed after a London-bound Air India plane crashed in Ahmedabad, prayer meetings and interfaith vigils are taking place across the United Kingdom, including at Hindu temples in northwest London and other cities of UK. The crash particularly impacted the Gujarati communities that live in London, many of whom were concentrated in Harrow and several parts of the city. Spiritual leaders have also spoken about this. Let's listen into some of those reactions.
We are going to continue prayers on the Saturday as well. Afternoon, we are going to have interfaith prayer. So with interfaith prayers, we are going to invite the many leaders from the different community. And it's about 2 o'clock we are going to have their prayers for the community's strength, also for the departure soul.
Also, NDTV has obtained an expert analysis of the crash by Dr. Aditya Paranjpe, who is an associate professor of aerospace engineering at Monash University. He has detailed his forensic view and assessment of what really could have happened during the crash. Let's listen in to what he said.
It's still early days. We don't have a lot of data yet. We certainly need data from the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder to make a more conclusive assessment. But we do have some early evidence in the form of a video of the last moments and some early data from the site flight radar. If we consider the video of the last moments, we notice first that the airplane isn't falling, which means it isn't stalled and it's producing enough lift. The airplane almost appears to be gliding down, and critically, its wings level with the rudder almost set to neutral. What that implies is that not only is there not enough thrust, it's most likely a case of dual engine out or dual engine idling. It's difficult to say which of the two it is at the moment. I should add here that airplanes are configured to climb out with just one engine operational. It's a standard maneuver known as a one engine out climb. That maneuver additionally requires that the rudder be deflected in the direction of the working engine to balance out the differential yawing moment, which we don't see here. So, in summary, there is enough lift, there isn't enough power, and the loss of power is identical on both sides of the airplane. If we now look at data from the site flight radar, it shows the airplane climbing up to 650 feet. The flight speed goes up to 170 knots, and the climb rate recorded at 650 feet is approximately 800 feet per minute. Now that tells us immediately that at the time of liftoff, the airplane was configured correctly. The flaps were okay, otherwise the plane would not get off the ground. The initial thrust was also okay because the plane accelerated after having lifted off around maybe 155 to 160 knots, which is the standard liftoff speed. So the plane's accelerating, it has a positive climb rate, which means the initial thrust was okay. May not have been as much as we would like to see, but the engines had not failed at that point. So something probably went wrong thereafter, which the pilots realized, and that also explains why the landing gear was down. They either did not retract it, or they started the retraction and then reversed that process when they sensed the possibility of a hard landing. So, in summary, what we see from flight radar is that the airplane's configuration initially was most likely okay. The engine was most likely functioning properly. Both engines were functioning properly, at least for a good part of the takeoff. And whatever went wrong...
Well, what we understand is that the Prime Minister Narendra Modi today also met Anjali Rupani, the wife of Vijay Rupani. Vijay Rupani, former Chief Minister of Gujarat, unfortunately died in that tragic incident that took place yesterday in that plane crash. He was travelling to London, and Vijay Rupani was the Chief Minister of Gujarat from 2016 to 2021. Those visuals there of the Prime Minister meeting Vijay Rupani's family today morning. Also, let's go across to my colleague Shiv Arur, who has an expert with him to help us understand what really could have gone wrong yesterday.
Thanks very much. That's right. Here on NDTV, as we continue to report on the aftermath of this terrible aviation tragedy, it's very important for us to get the perspective of experts, those who've been in cockpits, those who've investigated crashes, to actually talk to our viewers in India and across the world about what may have really happened, because we do not wish to speculate. Welcoming Captain Khalid, Ehsan Khalid, onto our coverage here on NDTV. Captain Khalid, these are the two videos that we have right now of the crash itself. And I want to take this one by one very, very slowly. This is a 36-second video that's been taken from somebody's window. You can see the aircraft, descending into the neighborhood there. And this is a 59-second video which captures the entire sequence from takeoff to landing. I want your opening comments. You've seen both these videos. What do they tell you?
All right. So it does tell me, only thing conclusive that I can see is that landing gear has been down throughout.
Yeah.
And landing gear is something that should have been taken up in almost all kind of scenarios that a pilot gets in the aircraft, except when there is a wind shear and the aircraft is committed to continue to descend. So we keep the landing gear down consciously to minimize the...
But we counted the time taken, Captain Khalid, from the time the aircraft lifts off till the time it impacts the ground. It's just 32 seconds.
Right. So that is the amount of time it will take to rotate the aircraft to go up. 825 is a wrong height, 625 is a wrong height. It would not have gone higher than 200 to 250, 30 feet. So the aircraft, when it is taking off, it gets airborne, selects the landing gear up, keeps the flaps are lift augmentation device that allows the aircraft to continue climbing at lower speeds while it is accelerating.
Yes.
So the aircraft gets out of the ground effect. Ground effect meaning, there is a cushion of air between the wing and the ground. It adds to my lift, reduces my drag. So even if the aircraft speed is low, power is low, it will be able to get out to something like 100, 150 feet out of the ground effect. Now the aircraft does not have the ground effect. There is a loss of power, there is speed low. So it is at this place that it has gone out of the ground effect. And now the actual performance of the aircraft, because of its current airspeed, will start to come in.
Right. So at this point of time, you can see the aircraft, instead of it continuing to ascend, it seems to level out and then it starts to descend.
Right. So one thing that can be ruled out is that there was no control jam. Control jam means the aircraft pilot moves the control, it cannot move. It can happen.
Yeah.
It does not happen in this case because one of your videos, you will see the aircraft continuing to pitch up.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The nose is up.
Right. So, and that is one of the indication that the aircraft was actively being flown by the pilot. Okay. Now, why the landing gear will not go up? If you have loss of power, then landing gear will not
Now
go
I
up.
want to talk about the flaps. The flaps is another point that has come, up for a lot of debate. And we've got some still images where we're going to zoom into the aircraft. This is Flight 171, Captain Khalid, just before it takes off. And we've got another still image. First, let's just talk for a moment about this image and now this one. It's a very grainy image, and there are many experts who say you cannot tell one way or the other about the takeoff configuration. Does this look like a takeoff configuration to you? Can you? Is it something you can tell?
No way. I have also tried to zoom it. I have also tried.
You cannot tell, right?
You cannot say because all the videos and the still images are
let's
from a
move
distance.
to the next image. Yeah. No, continue, sir.
Yeah. So you cannot make out that the aircraft is having a configuration problem here, but the aircraft automatic system, if the pilot has lined up, and let's assume that the flap is not to the right place, the system has so much of automation, it will shout at you.
Yeah.
Flap.
It will not let you take off in a wrong configuration,
Right.
basically.
It is like, somebody shouting at you, wrong configuration, wrong configuration, you can't take off. Okay. So that thing is ruled out. Aircraft has gone up, the flaps, let's assume, not assume, I'm pretty certain that the flap is to the configuration.
Yeah, let's move to the other video.
And the flap right now is not up. It can happen, this aircraft and many modern aircraft, in fact, all modern aircraft have got flap auto retraction mechanism.
Yeah.
And that gets signal from airspeed, it gets signal from electrical system and sensors.
So then I want to ask you the final question then, Captain Khalid, which is, what do you think happened? What do you think happened? These are early hours, I understand that, but what is your best guess as to what may have happened?
I will tell you the most probable thing, looking at the airfield like Ahmedabad, okay, there were a lot of birds that would cause distraction, but it will cause loss of power, loss of indication system, loss of airspeed system. That will now create situation which is totally out of the book for the pilot. So what pilot did at that point of time is not in the book. Okay. So, and it will also preclude landing gear going up. It can also cause, without any interference from the pilot, flaps going up.
Right.
Though, let me tell you that Boeing 787 aircraft, having flown 30 million hours, has not had any of this wrong flap retraction.
Correct.
So, in the field of speculation, we can speculate a lot, but certainly the pilot was actively trying to control the aircraft and they gave a mayday call. That means they were seeing something which is visually telling them that things are not right.
And we'll know about that once the black box is analyzed.
That is right.
Guessing. Okay, we've got, on the flaps issue, and this is an evolving story, so it's interesting. And we've got an image showing you, this image that we put together yesterday. This is a generic file image of a 787 taking off, Captain Khalid, where you can see the flaps retracted. This one yesterday,
this flap is to the takeoff position.
Yeah, the takeoff
deflected.
position. Extended, I mean, not retracted. I beg your pardon. And in this one, there was speculation yesterday about whether this image confirms that the flaps are retracted. But you're saying now that this does not confirm that. This is too unclear an image to say that the flaps are retracted.
There is no way that you could tell from this where it was. Because this aircraft, once it goes, it is at this angle. Once it goes a little more front, this white thing will become absolutely, even in this one you can't make out.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. So there is no way of telling from just this crash video or these still images whether the flaps played some kind of a role. That's what you're saying?
It's absolutely, from here you can't conclude.
Yeah, you can't conclude.
But the fact remains that the aircraft did not do a successful flight.
Yeah.
There was a loss of lift. Loss of lift can happen because of loss of airspeed.
Yeah, let's put that video back because we'll conclude with that video of the actual crash itself. This is 32 seconds, Captain Khalid.
Yeah.
Okay, if you start counting from this position when the aircraft actually rotates and lifts off, up until the point of impact where you see the
right now, I don't see anything wrong. Okay. The aircraft is pitched up nicely. There is no yaw. There is
seems like a normal takeoff.
It seems like a normal takeoff for a heavy aircraft in hot temperature.
Yeah.
Okay. And thereafter, what happens is totally abnormal.
Right.
Okay.
Here's where the abnormal starts, because it seems to level out. It's going down at an angle like this. It seems to be, like you rightly said, the nose is being, pitched
actively
up.
Flown.
The yoke is being pulled back by the pilots, and then it just goes down, belly down in that kind of angled up position. So,
so
final comment then.
Final comment is like this, that the aircraft has gone down because there was not sufficient lift. It can happen because of two reasons. A, airspeed was not sufficient, power was not sufficient. Power not being sufficient can happen because of technical error or bird hit or both.
Correct.
Airspeed not being sufficient for that phase of flight, that means for the flap that it was not sufficient. Or there could be some weather phenomena with wind shear, which we don't see here.
Okay. So the investigation is on right now. The black box is going to be retrieved any moment. Other equipment is also being recovered from the debris site, and hopefully we will have clarity very soon as to how flight AI 171 went down. Thank you very much, Captain Khalid, for being with me. Back to the studio.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Shiv, for those voices. Aviation expert Ehsan Khalid explaining very clearly that there was no problem with the takeoff, but of course things started going wrong soon after the takeoff, and he's also talking about how the aircraft doesn't seem to have enough lift, and that could be because of insufficient power. But remember that detailed probe that's already underway and expedited will help us know what really went wrong. If it was a technical fault or if it was a mechanical problem, we'll get to know all of that in about a few days from now, and we'll keep getting you details from the ground as well. But now it's time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side.
Is your business future ready? Join the 13-week strategic ESG certification program for business sustainability and growth for CXO and business leaders by NDTV, Terry and Zenora. Master global ESG frameworks, gain real-world tools and lead with impact. Starts July 13th. Enroll now and power your business with sustainability.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know Your Company, powered by NDTV Profit Research, shines a light on the biggest stock market movers.
How often have you turned away from debates that descend into endless fights? We bring you a show where every question is answered, where every debate finds its resolution, where every story finds its conclusion, where opinions collide but facts prevail, where stories unfold with insights and trust. When the noise ends, the last word begins.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India. It matters to India. And it matters to me. And it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru. Only on NDTV 24/7.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond, from geopolitics and diplomacy.
भारत निकला तो मैंने देखा कि आवाज जोर से आवाज आया विंग्स का, फिर पूरा धुआं भर गया।
मेरे खुद को भी बिलीव नहीं होता कि मैं कैसे उसमें से जिंदा बाहर निकला।
How did the Air India flight even crash? What possibly could be the reasons? Remember, it's a full-blown investigation that is underway. Even on the other side, you have the Prime Minister who was at the crash site earlier. We get you highlights of that and much more. And NDTV's team right now is on ground zero, piecing together everything that you need to know. First up, as always, the headlines. The government could be considering the Dreamliner safety probe. Sources say domestic 787 fleet could be grounded. The safety review of the Boeing 787-8 fleet in India. The Prime Minister is in Ahmedabad. He visited the crash site earlier. He also was at the civil hospital. He's also met with the former Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani's family.
जैसे मेरा डोर टूटा ना सब, तो मैंने देखा ना जब सामने कि थोड़ा इधर पेश है, मैं ट्राई कर सकता हूँ निकलने के लिए, तो मैंने ट्राई किया निकलने के लिए, तो फिर मैं निकल गया उधर।
That is the lone survivor narrating the ordeal. The Prime Minister also meets with him a little earlier. The survivor says the door broke on the impact and I jumped out. He said, I did not even think that I would survive this crash. In international news, Israel has launched preemptive strike against Iran. The Iranian airspace has been closed. Multiple flights are diverted. Air India says about 16 flights are diverted or returning to their origin places. So do remember, in case of any investigation, particularly when you have a crash like this, everything hinges on the black box. But till now, we do not know whether that black box has been recovered or not. But why is this so significant? It is important because it helps you unravel the disaster. It records the moment of the last few minutes, as you had seen the pilot making the mayday call, but then what was the communication? What did he say? The efforts are on right now to retrieve the black box. The plane's tail, remember, landed on the college roof, working on to right now bring down the tail, and those are images again up on your screens. Our colleague Ankit has been on ground zero and he tells us more about where is the investigation headed right now and what is going on at the crash site.
India is going to have a lead on this. Beyond the scrutiny of Boeing, the important thing is to try and figure out what went wrong, and that would only happen once the black box is recovered. Remember, 737 Dreamliner, this is one of the major aircraft on long-haul flights, not just being flown by Air India, but many other airlines as well. So they would be, in fact, also be waiting anxiously to exactly know what went wrong as far as this entire accident is concerned. On your question about the experts, so what we know is that from United Kingdom, there is a team which is coming to assist the investigation, which the Indian, in fact, Aircraft Accident Bureau is doing. And apart from that, there is a team for Boeing as well, which will come and access. Now, very quickly, just about the black box, the data recorder, the black box that we are talking about. We've been telling our viewers simultaneously that though it is called the black box, but it is an orange, painted sort of a thing, which is very securely put at the tail end or the rear end of the aircraft, and it is designed to take substantial punishment. G-forces. It can also a high impact burning. If it goes underwater, then there are provisions that a transponder starts emitting a signal so that it can be in fact found. But since this was low altitude, I don't know whether that transponder mechanism works or not. But the fact is, if the black box is recovered and if it is undamaged, which we have seen in one of the major crashes as well, it is largely a plug and play game. They will put it in a system and they will start receiving the data immediately. So that becomes very important. Yesterday, our teams, as you were saying, from the DGCA, Civil Aviation Ministry, along with the aircraft accident investigation teams of India, the Bureau, had all come here. I was told about more than 36 people, 36 to 40 people had arrived yesterday in this multidisciplinary team. Apart from that, there are some teams from the defense forces as well, those who are helping them investigate the crash. Now, as far as the international teams are concerned, we don't have a timeline to that. But Boeing already, have been told, has dispatched engineers and their teams to assist the investigation. Now, in this entire matter, 2-3 things become very, very important. Number one, they will come and assess how the plane disintegrated. So this entire area, which was photographed extensively by the teams which were investigating this last night, at around 11 o'clock, they reached here. They made 6 to 7 teams comprising of 5 to 8 people, which went to different areas to understand what happened, and also to take multiple pictures and visuals of this, so that can be put together to understand what happened at the point of impact, where all did the debris fall.
All right, Ankit, they're getting us the very latest as far as what's happening on ground zero. But do remember, just a day after you've seen this tragic story coming out of the Dreamliner crash in Ahmedabad, 241 people on board are dead. The Prime Minister earlier was at the site. He took a larger sense. He understood what possibly has happened. And he's also met the lone survivor of the crash at the hospital. Now, who is he? Let's talk a little bit more about him. We'll also get his pictures on your screens. He's the Indian origin British national Vishwas Kumar Ramesh. He's right now at the hospital. And if you just look at him, you realize that possibly he's still stuck in those moments. There are still fresh bruises. He's still recuperating at the hospital. And this is where at least 5 more students at the medical college were killed in that accident. The forensic teams have also been on the spot. And we also do know that there are multiple investigative agencies right now trying to ensure that they pick up the right clues to be able to connect the dots and answer the most important question: what happened? What went wrong? Who's responsible? Let's also get in our colleague Aishwarya, who's adding more to what we know on the investigations and the probe so far. All right, we'll just get Aishwarya up with us in a while to tell you more about this. But on the other side, when you talk of the probe, it is the question of the safety when it comes to Dreamliners. Are they safe? What really went wrong? The government possibly could be mulling grounding the 7878 fleet. And there is this call right now that there must be a thorough probe. Could this entail grounding of this entire fleet? At this point, remember, the Air India is operating about 33 Dreamliners. There is a statement from airlines that is awaited. Now, the Air India Ahmedabad-London flight that crashed has marked the Dreamliner's first fatal crash since the aircraft even made its debut in 2011. What we now understand is that there could be some action. Could this amount to grounding the entire fleet? We still do not know, but that is a likely scenario. And this is a call that could be taken basis of the probe that already has been right now put in a fresh gear. Now, like I said earlier, the Air India is operating about 33 Dreamliners. We'll have a statement also from the airlines very, very shortly. What went wrong, helping us understand that when you look at the robustness of the aircraft, it's a twin-engine aircraft, but it has never suffered a setback like this. What happened? Let's get you more details.
Ministry of Civil Aviation is considering a safety review of the domestic fleet of Dreamliners following the devastating crash of an Air India Boeing 787 aircraft, which claimed lives of 241 out of the 242 people that were on board of the London-bound flight, which is seen as the deadliest air disaster globally in a decade. Sources say that as a precautionary measures, authorities are likely to look at the possibility of temporary grounding of all Boeing 787 aircraft, with initial safety inquiries underway. Several stakeholders, including Tata Group, Boeing India, the US National Transportation Safety Board, as well as the Federal Aviation Administration, are engaged in discussion. A final decision hinges on the investigation's final findings. Meanwhile, Air India, which operates 34 Dreamliners, the largest fleet among Indian carriers, is also likely to face scrutiny, especially regarding maintenance practices. The crash has prompted international attention, with the NTSB leading a team of investigators from the US alongside Boeing and engine manufacturer GE Aerospace. Meanwhile, the Indian Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau is also probing the incident, with a preliminary report expected in about a month's time. Now, this particular tragedy is, not only raises questions about the aircraft's safety, but may also lead to a global review of Dreamliner's safety protocols as authorities seek to prevent such disasters in the future. We will keep you updated as the investigation progresses.
Let's switch our gears back to what has been happening. There is a story of people who've lost their loved ones, but then there is this powerful story of that lone survivor who's in fact earlier at the hospital, and we've seen images of the Prime Minister interacting with him and asking him how he is doing. And clearly one would want to know what really went behind all that, because in spite of this very, very tragic incident, you have this little glimmer of hope coming in. Aishwarya has been outside that very hospital getting us the latest.
Yesterday, after the tragic Air India crash, it is the injured ones who have been brought to the trauma center here at the civil hospital, and it is also the lone survivor, Vishwas Kumar, who has been admitted right here at the B7 ward, where we are reporting from the civil hospital. Amid of the heavy security, no one is being allowed to enter this particular location, but you can see the police officials, senior officials from the Gujarat government also right outside here. All the injured ones are being treated here at the trauma center. Prime Minister Narendra Modi just met the lone survivor over here, Vishwas Kumar, and he told about how the incident occurred yesterday. What was it? Of course, it's a part of the investigation that different officials are conducting, but these injured are being treated over here. Let me show you these list of the survivors over here as well at the trauma center, which has been placed 16 and 25 others. But Vishwas Kumar's name is right here. He's been admitted to B735. His condition is stable, and the relatives of other persons of the 171 Air India crash are requested to get the information from Kasauti Bhavan. This is also a place which is being dedicated for the family members who can give their DNA samples as well, but it is a part of investigation, and the statements will be recorded from Vishwas Kumar as well. We've been told the family members will be soon leaving from UK because they have to give another DNA sample for the brother that died, but Vishwas Kumar currently admitted over here, and we are reporting exclusively from the trauma center. Aishwarya Jain in Ahmedabad.
Let's also now move on to bring you another facet of this entire tragedy. The Prime Minister earlier met with the former Chief Minister Rupani's family, and then he also took to the social media as he put out this picture. He says, met with the family of Shri Vijay Bhai Rupani ji. It's an unimaginable thing that Vijay Bhai is not in our midst. He says, I've known him for decades. We worked together, shoulder to shoulder, including during some of the most challenging times. He goes on to say that Vijay Bhai was humble and hardworking, firmly committed to the party's ideology. Rising up the ranks, he held various responsibilities in the organization and went on to serve diligently as the Gujarat's Chief Minister, unquote. Let's also now move on to put our focus on a lot more faces to this tragedy. The biggest one that you have seen in the last many years, 241 lives are lost. One of that was of Khushbu's. Who really was Khushbu? From where did she hail? What more do we know about her? This is NDTV speaking to her family.
मैं समझती हूँ कि आपके लिए, आपके परिवार के लिए ये बहुत ही ज़्यादा सैड टाइम है। ये बताइए कि आपके मन में क्या चल रहा है सर? ये बहुत बड़ी घटना हुई है, आपने अपनी बहन को खोया है, आपके मन में अभी क्या चल रहा है?
देखिए, हमारे मन में तो क्या चलना है, हमारे परिवार का सदस्य था, वो हमसे छीन लिया गया। अब हमारे पास चलने के लिए क्या था? मन में ये चल रहा था कि बहन बाहर जाएगी, लंदन अपने सपनों की उड़ान उड़ेगी, और अब क्या रहा।
थान सिंह जी, थोड़ा अपनी बहन के बारे में बताइए कि हमने उनके फोटोज देखे थे और वो बहुत खुश लग रही थी। उनके क्या एक्सपेक्टेशंस थे? थोड़ा उनके बारे में बताइए, कैसी थी वो, और उनके बारे में सबसे अच्छी बात क्या थी?
देखिए, वो हमारा जो पारिवारिक कल्चर है उस हिसाब से वो हमेशा हमारे साथ में रही, और प्रथम बार वो बाहर की यात्रा कर रही थी। कभी इंडिया में भी बाहर कहीं नहीं गई, वो यहीं पढ़ाई की, यहीं परिवार के बीच में रही, दादाजी के साथ, फिर बाद में शादी हुई और अब जा रही थी बाहर। लेकिन दुख की बात यह है कि 72 घंटे का हमें समय दिया गया। इस समय को हम गुजारे कैसे यहाँ अहमदाबाद में बैठे बैठे? सबसे बड़ी दुख की बात यह है, 72 भारत आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव मना रहा है, और आज आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव में हमारे सामने ये विपदा खड़ी है कि 72 घंटे लगेंगे हमारी पारिवारिक सदस्य की बॉडी को पहचानने में। ये बड़ा दुख का विषय है। कहाँ है भारत का सिस्टम? कोई हमें बता सकता है क्या ये आपकी बहन है, ये आपकी बेटी है? कोई है हमारे सामने ऐसा महान पुरुष जो आके बोले कि ये आपकी बेटी है और आप ले जाइए इसका शव और अंतिम संस्कार कीजिए? हमारे सामने दिक्कत अब दूसरी खड़ी हो गई है।
सर, इसके बारे में थोड़ा बताइए, क्योंकि बॉडीज बहुत ही ज़्यादा चार्ड हैं और बताया जा रहा है कि डीएनए टेस्टिंग हो रही है, लेकिन मैं समझती हूँ कि बहुत ही दुख का समय है, और जिस तरह ये हादसा हुआ है उससे भी काफ़ी चैलेंजेस बढ़ गए हैं। अभी आपकी फैमिली को किस तरह की दिक्कतों का सामना करना पड़ रहा है?
मैडम, आज हम हिंदू धर्म में रहने वाले लोग हैं। हमारे में दाह संस्कार, अग्नि संस्कार ये जो होता है कितना बड़ा होता है। अगर आज 72 घंटे बाद, 72 घंटे तक हमें समय दिया गया है कि 72 घंटे बाद बॉडी मिलेगी, क्या भारत की ट्रेनों पे, भारत के बड़े बड़े हर जगह पे होर्डिंग लगाकर आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव इसलिए मनाया जा रहा था कि किसी परिवार में कोई घटना हो जाए और उस घटना के बाद उनको ले जाने के लिए 72 घंटे, 80 घंटे, 5 दिन वेट करना पड़े? क्या यही भारत का आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव है? मैं भारत सरकार से सवाल कर रहा हूँ, आज मेरे परिवार की पीड़ा के नाते सवाल कर रहा हूँ। मैं अहमदाबाद में बैठा हूँ कल रात से।
Right.
So our thoughts and prayers right now with all these families grieving. On the other side of this very quick break, we'll take up a forensic analysis of the crash. What could be the possible reasons? More when we come back.
Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad, India's latest aviation disaster. India responds to the tragedy. Facts first, 100% ground reports.
Under this is the tail,
Here, and this is just one of the buildings that will give you an idea of the quantum of loss.
24 to 48 hours is the deadline that has been given for the DNA testing.
Maximum reporters, maximum coverage on NDTV.
मैं नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि एनडीए सरकार में हम अगले 10 साल में विकसित भारत के सपने को साकार करके रहेंगे। अटल से तो विकसित भारत की तस्वीर है। प्रेरणा और प्रगति जब एक साथ जुड़ते हैं तो एक नए युग की नींव पड़ती है। भारत माता की
The last 1 month, if you see, the share prices of Genzol Engineering has fallen more than 58%.
Why are the rating firms calling the debt payments as default?
We have 2 credible credit rating agencies on March 4th coming and downgrading the stock to D.
Statements are consistently being proven wrong, and transactions are being taken place which are different from what they were originally pictured to be.
The company claimed it would roll out 6,400 electric vehicles. But what it has rolled out is a shocking scam. Funds meant for the project were funneled allegedly back to the promoters, the Junkie brothers. What did the money buy? Not EVs, of course, but a lavish flat in Gurgaon's luxurious DLF Carmelias.
News is not just headlines, it is what impacts you. And news should never be mistaken for noise. What matters is the reality. Accurate, in-depth, and with the right perspective. For over 20 years, I have been a journalist, and never has clarity mattered more than now. At Newsnight, we go beyond the surface. We dissect the details, challenge the narratives, and bring you the unparalleled clarity you deserve in a world clouded by misinformation. We are bold, we are direct. Newsnight, for the news in your interest. Only on NDTV 24/7.
After 2 years of the India-Canada tensions, it's the big relationship reboot. Indian Prime Minister heads to the G7 summit. Indispensable India on the global stage. Modi's multilateral momentum. NDTV live from the G7 summit in Canada.
Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad, India's latest aviation disaster. India responds to the tragedy. Facts first, 100% ground reports.
Under this is the tail,
Here, and this is just one of the buildings that will give you an idea of the quantum of loss.
24 to 48 hours is the deadline that has been given for the DNA testing.
Maximum reporters, maximum coverage on NDTV.
Now remember, what we are reporting now is important because this could also be India's most expensive aviation claim. Potentially about 2,400 crore demand is what we are learning. This claim could happen under the fleet insurance policy, and these are claims essentially for damage and loss of life. What more do we know about this? Our colleague Harsh is joining us live right now. Harsh, take it away and break down what you can tell us on this.
Let me first start off with what could be India's largest expense in terms of aviation insurance claim. It's going to be likely 1,000 crore plus affair in terms of potential liabilities. It's also in terms of scale and complexity, it's extremely large and very, very complex to understand all of the factors which will go into the insurance claim. Let me first start off with Air India, what they've done in terms of insuring their fleet. They've spent around 234 crore rupees in FY24 on insurance costs. This is as per their financial statements, and they have insured their fleet through a group company which is Tata AIG as well as other insurers. Now, as per protocol, you can't go beyond a certain threshold or a benchmark in insurance within aviation with a single insurer. So they've gone through multiple insurers, and those insurers have in turn also undertaken reinsurance both domestically through a New India, a GIC RE, as well as globally through AIG. So there's a consortium led by AIG which has reinsured the entire insurance of Air India. There's no single insurer to bear risk, which means that the risk is spread. So how much of that risk materializes in India? Around 5 to 10% of the claims get materialized in India. So if you assume a 1,000 to 1,200 crore insurance claim, and I'll come to the numbers, around 100 to 120 odd crore or maybe 150 odd crore could be the exposure. The exposure, therefore, is not large in relative terms. There's extensive reinsurance as well, which will likely protect insurers, and the balance claims are likely to be covered by global reinsurers. Let's talk about aircraft and damage, and therefore the largest part of this insurance is going to be the hull damage to the aircraft, which is likely to get covered up to 700 odd crore rupees or 75 to 80 million US dollars. Let me also now talk about the more important and difficult part of this, which is insurance of passengers. This is covered under the Montreal Convention. The compensation is calculated through special drawing rights, and the approximate value of the special drawing rights will be around 170,000 US dollars, which translates to approximately 1.5 crore rupees per passenger. There's obviously a lot of third-party damage which has been done in this situation. Unfortunately, the collateral damage will also likely be insured, and all of that is obviously yet to fully be understood and translated. So the value as well as what kind of calculation actually goes in this third-party insurance claim that might come is yet to be fully ascertained.
Now let's help you understand the complete anatomy of the crash. What happened, what could be the possibilities, what really went wrong? Our colleague Shivarur tells us more.
As we speak, the cockpit voice recorder, the flight data recorder, the black box of flight AI-171 is in the process of being retrieved from the crash site, and that will hold the key to what happened to this ill-fated Boeing 787 of Air India. But in the meantime, all we can really do is look at the pictures, look at the images, look at the videos that have come forward, especially the two crash videos, to try and deduce from it what we can. And obviously we aren't going to do that ourselves. We will do that with experts. Joining us this evening on NDTV, over 24 hours after Flight 171 went down, I have with me Dr. Sumit Susilan, also known as Aviation Guru, someone who has written books and authored many articles as far as flight safety and accident investigations are concerned. Dr. Sumit, welcome to NDTV. I want to start by drawing your attention to these two videos. Dr. Sumit, you have seen these videos.
Yes,
they have been hugely shared since yesterday, shocking people across the world because they are looking at an actual crash taking place. But for an expert, what do these images tell you? Many people have said many things, that you can see the flaps, you can see the, something to do with the engines, the landing gear. What do you see in these pictures?
With the picture, I can see things while takeoff, everything was normal. But there was a different angle which no one had observed. There is something called load and trim. The aircrafts are balanced before the takeoff. And the ground team gives the aircraft balance, how much cargo they have put it in the front hold and the rear hold. And if the aircrafts are balanced, then only it will be able to smoothly take off. But over here, we can see they are not able to take off after the certain height. So there might be an angle of that also, that the rear cargo had fell down and had taken the aircraft down, because the landing gear has not retracted back. So they had hardly got time.
But it seems to be that the pilot is pulling back on the stick and pointing the nose up. How do you explain that?
I was listening to the person who got survived from 11 Alpha. So according to him also that yes, he was listening to the thrust, they were trying hard for that thing. So it is the possibility because these are the GE engines, which is one of the best engines worldwide. We are known for this thing.
Thousands of aircraft run on these engines.
Definitely. And normally we always have, if any engine failure also, rarely, so it will one engine can go down. But both the engine going down simultaneously is something like unimaginable for us.
Many things have been said, Dr. Sumit, about the flaps. Yes. Now, I'll go to some of those still images. We've zoomed in on some of these images. This is just before the aircraft actually rotated and took off. Then we've got another image after it has taken off, just a few seconds before it impacts. These are, you know, very low resolution CCTV images. Many people have said flaps are retracted, they should be extended during takeoff. But there are others who say in these pictures you cannot confirm whether this is the case or not.
Yes, we definitely can't because the procedure was correctly done by the captain. Yeah. So there was no error we can find it from here because we know the captains are the most experienced captain because I have personally flown with Captain Sumit because I was a part of Air India. So I know how much experience they have. So there is such checks which they follow, the first officer and the captain throughout because there is something called sterile cockpit time where after the takeoff until they reach the cruise level. So no one disturb each other. So I think everything was followed exactly how they had to be followed.
And if there was something wrong, the cockpit would have warned them also. There would have been some kind of warning as well.
Yep.
Now,
yes, that's true.
Let's play out that video once again because there are two crash videos. This is the second one, which is the complete crash sequence as captured by CCTV camera. From this point until the actual impact, Dr. Sumit, is 32 seconds.
Yes.
32 seconds is half a minute. From the time the aircraft leaves the ground till the time it hits the ground is just 32 seconds.
Yes.
Did the pilots, probably somewhere around this point when the aircraft stops climbing and starts to fall is when the Mayday call may have been issued to the air traffic control. What would the pilots have been doing at that last point? They would have been struggling to the aircraft seemed to be in control. The aircraft was not out of control, but they seemed to be wanting to try and get to climb.
Definitely, because when I see that the aircraft was trying to climb, it was climbing up, and suddenly from a certain point, then it started coming down. It was some failure happened immediately when they had called the Mayday. And immediately, I think within 2 seconds, the ATC responded. Until the time, there was no response from their side. And normally, these aircrafts are pressurized in the cabin pressure of around 6,000 psi, which is the most comfortable psi. Whereas, if compared to Airbus 320 and all, that is pressurized in that 8,000 psi. So the cabin pressures are quite good. But there have been some rumors or there was some news by the Boeing ex-employee itself that this cabin pressure, where there are some problems in engineering department as well.
Okay. We've got some final images showing you the different angles of it. This is the other video that came out first before the full crash video. This was taken from a residential neighborhood. And this also shows you a slightly closer look. And we look this video.
Tails going down. You can see the tails going down. It's like nose was still up. The tail. So that's why I was saying the load and trim.
So it would have hit tail first. Yes. In this way. Yeah. In this angle, you can see that the tail is down, the nose is up.
Yes.
But even in this, you cannot tell about the flaps.
No.
Even in this, it's not clear.
No, it's not clear. But I can say because mostly this is a case of where the balancing, they are not able to balance it also. The tail was going down. If the nose is up and still the tail is going down, it means there might be a problem in the load and trim sheet. We have to take out the load and trim sheet, which can be with the ground engineering department. Normally they do the engineering where they balance it. They take it the signature of the captain before the takeoff. So now suppose they had given a certain numbers that they had kept a baggage of, this much a ton in the back and in the hold one they had given this. They approve it, they balance, they approve it. But if the number is not matching up, captain will not come to know.
Two images comparing flaps, in a high resolution image of a Boeing 787 taking off where you can clearly see the flaps. But, this image has caused a lot of debate, Dr. Sumit, where people have said, in this one, you can see that the flaps are not extended. They are in retracted position, which is wrong for takeoff. But it is not, we cannot conclude that in this image.
I don't think that we have to compare
that can only come out during the investigation.
Normally, during the air shows and all, they use the full power and they go for an inclined takeoff also. So these engines can do that thing, because
even with the flaps retracted.
Definitely, they do it. They show the capability of the aircraft.
Yeah.
And I have personally seen the capability of this aircraft, because recently happened, like a couple of years back, we had a Wings India event where they had taken this aircraft for the demonstration, and we have seen the power of this aircraft. After that only they had got back-to-back orders for these aircrafts in India.
Okay. Dr. Sumit, thank you very much for helping us understand this complex issue. But like I always say, at the end of the day, the black box will hold all the keys.
Definitely.
The site mapping of the debris site will hopefully provide even more clues. And remember, it was one particular aircraft that went down yesterday, but it is an aircraft that has been in service with Air India for the last 11 years. So now I want to show you for just a moment the journey that's been taken by this aircraft, the last 10 flights that have been taken by this particular aircraft. Its registration number is VTANB. On the 7th of June, I just want to show you the last 10 flights. 7th of June, it flew a very normal flight from Delhi to France. The very next day, this aircraft, in fact, the same day, the aircraft flew right back. And this was all completely normal. I'm talking about the exact same aircraft, airframe that has crashed. Then there was a flight from Delhi to Melbourne on the 8th of June, and then Melbourne straight back to Delhi on the 8th of June, the same day. Then you had Delhi to Tokyo on the 9th of June, and then Tokyo back to Delhi on the 10th of June. These are the last 10 flights. I just want to give you a sense of how busy this aircraft has been, and it's difficult to imagine that it is no longer there. Delhi to France on the 11th of June, and then France straight back to Delhi on the same day. So this was a busy aircraft that was conducting all manner of flights. Delhi to Ahmedabad on the 12th of June was the flight towards Ahmedabad, and from Ahmedabad the next day, of course, is the ill-fated flight that never made it, and it crashed in Ahmedabad. So 10 different flights. This is what the journey of VTANB actually looks like. It was a busy aircraft, one of many 787 Dreamliners in service with Air India, and the first crash of this aircraft type, that's the dotted black line that you see there, was supposed to be its last flight, but it never really made it. Now, a third aspect that we are tracking right now is seat 11A. This is the sole survivor of Flight 171. And his name is Vishwas Kumar Ramesh, British Indian national, the only man who survived the tragedy. 241 people died, but this man survived with minor injuries. As you can see, he's not in bad shape at all, just some superficial injuries, and he's being treated in hospital. And his survival has not only shocked and astonished people everywhere, but has also made people wonder whether there is something called a safe seat. Now, we are not experts, and we can't actually talk about that. But let's show you what a seating configuration on an aircraft actually looks like. This is the seating configuration on a 787. It's a wide body, as you can see, 333 configuration. And 11A is that blinking dot that you see right down there. 11A is just forward off the wing, just 2 rows in front of the of the wing structure. Now, we can't speculate just yet where the aircraft fractured, where it broke open, where Vishwas Kumar Ramesh was ejected from the aircraft from, and in what circumstances. All we do know is that every other seat in this aircraft that was occupied, the person in that seat did not make it. There were children, there were women, there were men. None of them made it, but 11A's occupant Vishwas Kumar Ramesh actually did. This has triggered a huge debate online and offline over whether there is any such thing as a safe seat in an aircraft. When an aircraft is crashing, it is difficult to talk about anything called a safe seat, but there's this huge buzz and curiosity about whether it has anything to do with the location of this particular seat, and we will continue to highlight what experts think about this.
All right, I'm thanking Shiv and the guest also for joining us, to helping us understand and decode some parts of this very, very important story. Right now on the other side, this is a non-stop rolling coverage that continues.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India. It matters to India. It matters to India. And it matters to me. And it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru. Only on NDTV 24/7.
Why was there a hurry? Was it the government that was in a hurry?
I don't want to blame anyone.
Joining us today here in the NDTV newsroom.
The government cannot walk away from this responsibility.
Cricket is region of sort in this country.
Would you like to comment on what happened?
What is the condition of the injured at this point? How many people died?
What exactly happened? You have lost your daughter.
In the wake of Pahalgam, all eyes on the Amarnath Yatra. Amidst fear, faith and fortitude. India's biggest fight against terror. NDTV reports on the holy route, the Amarnath spirit.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I
or
hold
buy time to invest in
CDSL
that?
for the long term? Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit. Is your business future ready? Join the 13-week strategic ESG certification program for business sustainability and growth for CXO and business leaders by NDTV, Terry and Zenora. Master global ESG frameworks, gain real-world tools, and lead with impact. Starts July 13th. Enroll now and power your business with sustainability.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know Your Company, powered by NDTV Profit Research, shines a light on the biggest stock market movers.
How often have you turned away from debates that descend into endless fights? We bring you a show where every question is answered. Where every
In the aftermath of the tragic Air India crash in Ahmedabad, Pallav Bagla has spoken to Dr. Rakesh Mishra, who is the former director of the Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology, Hyderabad. This, remember, is about how you can have DNA fingerprinting that can actually help identify victims. Because right now, what we are looking at is charred remains of their loved ones. To familial matching, science is something that offers clarity and closure for such families at this very difficult hour. India is equipped to respond with precision and compassion, and this is how the procedure moves on.
We share sorrow and with the victims who have died in the Air India crash at Ahmedabad. But let us also try and understand what is DNA fingerprinting. And I have with me one of India's foremost experts on molecular biology, Dr. Rakesh Misra, former director of the Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology. Thanks a lot, Dr. Misra. Can you explain to us in simple terms what is DNA fingerprinting and how can it be deployed and used in a situation like an aircraft?
Yeah, thank you, Pallavji, for approaching me. DNA fingerprinting is a now very well established technique for identifying individuals. The way we do this is from any source of genetic material, whether it's part of the tissue or semen or blood, saliva, hair follicle, any part of the body from where we can extract nucleic acids. We can get very small amount is also okay. So from there we extract the DNA, and the DNA is then processed to look for specific regions of the genome. They are generally repeats which vary a lot in the population, and that's how every individual is unique. And we can then identify whether the samples that we are having are of the same individual or different individual, and to whom these people may be related. Let's say somebody claims that this is my son or daughter, then we can compare with the parents and tell that yes, this is the related person or not. And we can also, if all the tissues are various biological material is collected, we can then separately analyze and figure out how many people were involved in a particular event, or in this case, like some accident where
Is it very specific and accurate?
Oh, yes. So we will be able to tell from these samples whether this individual belongs to this lineage or family or not. And there is no confusion about it, because each person has a unique signature and everybody can be identified using this. Identified means that we will not be able to tell the name or anything else about the person, but relatedness of the person, whether somebody is a brother or sister, a genetic relationship we'll be able to distinguish. And also among two samples, we can say that these are two different individuals or same individuals.
And a day after, you have 241 people who were on board that flight who are killed now after that crash. There have been prayer meets and interfaith vigils that were held across the UK, including at the Hindu temples in northwest London and Leicester. Now, the crash particularly impacted the Gujarati communities in London, many of whom were actually concentrated in particular belts of Harrow and Brent. Listen in also to what the spiritual leaders there had to say.
We are going to continue prayers on the Saturday as well. Afternoon, we are going to have interfaith prayer. So with interfaith prayers, we are going to invite the many leaders from the different community. And it's about 2 o'clock we are going to have their prayers for the community strength, also for the departure soul.
Now, the Air India aircraft carrying 242 passengers slams into a doctor's hostel of a medical college some distance just away from the end of the runway. The rescuers have been able to confirm that only one passenger survived. 5 people in the hostel have also lost their lives. Now, the Ahmedabad airport CCTV footage, which you see on your screens, does show a very short flight of just 32 seconds from the time the landing gears leave the runway to the time of the impact. The aviation experts have said that the final moments of the flight showed the aircraft either literally struggling to generate thrust or lift. The exact cause, remember, behind the crash would be known only after you have a thorough investigation. But what is surely now coming very, very clear that this is a massive human tragedy. There are stories of families waiting at the airports in a shaken state, unable to even believe what has struck them. The tragedy has sent shockwaves through the global aviation community too, and raised urgent questions about safety, oversight and accountability.
अपर्णा महादिक, ये अहमदाबाद से लंदन जा रही जो फ्लाइट क्रैश हुई कल अहमदाबाद में, उसमें क्रू मेंबर थी। मुंबई के गोरेगांव इलाके की रहने वाली थी और यहाँ पर जो उनके आसपास रहते हैं अखिलेश चौबे जी, वो हमारे साथ हैं। अक्सर दोनों वॉक पे मिला करते थे, एक साथ वॉक भी किया करते थे। उनसे बात करेंगे कि अपर्णा किस तरीके की व्यक्ति थी और क्या कुछ था। सर, बहुत दुखद घटना अहमदाबाद में सामने आई जहाँ पर तकरीबन 200 से ज़्यादा लोगों की मौत हो गई। उनमें से आप ही की सोसाइटी में रहने वाली एक क्रू मेंबर अपर्णा महादिक भी थी। किस तरीके से आप उनको जानते थे, क्या वो कैसे व्यक्तित्व था उनका?
नहीं, हमारी सोसाइटी में जो है एयर इंडिया के काफ़ी पायलट्स और क्रू मेंबर्स रहते हैं और हम लोग जो है नीचे वॉक करते समय या जो सोसाइटी के सार्वजनिक कार्यक्रम होते हैं उसमें एक दूसरे को मिलते थे, एक दूसरे को जानते थे। और कल फ़ोटो देखने के तुरंत बाद जैसे ये घटना घटी और उसके बाद जैसे अपर्णा का फ़ोटो आया, मुझे ऐसा लगा कि हमारे कोई जान पहचान वाले एक्सपायर हुए हैं। हमने फ़ोन करके तो पता किया और पूरी सोसाइटी को ऐसा लग रहा है कि सोसाइटी का कोई अपना चला गया है। वैसे तो पूरे देश के लिए बहुत दुखद घटना है, बट हमारी सोसाइटी के लिए विशेष दुखद हो गया।
और सर, किसी से बात हो पाई है, उनके परिवार से आपकी बात हो पाई है और उनका व्यक्तित्व कैसा था? वो किस तरीके की व्यक्ति थी? जब आप वॉक्स पे मिलते थे तो क्या कुछ था उनके बाद, थोड़ी जानकारी?
देखिए, फिटनेस फ्रीक थी, रूटीन वॉक करते थे, मॉर्निंग में दिखती थी और ऐसी घड़ी में घर से परिवार वालों से क्या बात करें वो समझ में नहीं आता है। तो सारे लोग दुख में हैं। अब जो है सोसाइटी में जब भी आगे उनकी डेड बॉडी वगैरह आएगी तो उसके बाद जो भी प्रोग्राम कार्यक्रम होगा।
आपने अभी डीएनए सैंपल दिया है, कौन था आपका फ्लाइट में?
मेरी डॉटर थी।
क्या नाम है उनका?
कीनल मिस्त्री।
क्या बताया जा रहा है और कहाँ जा रहे थे, कुछ अगर शेयर कर पाएंगे?
वो आनंद से लंदन जा रही थी, अहमदाबाद से लंदन।
अच्छा, अहमदाबाद आनंद से आए थे आप आनंद से?
आनंद से।
अच्छा, क्यों क्या मकसद से जा रहे थे, कुछ बता पाएंगे?
उधर ही रहती थी, लंदन 1 साल से थी वो।
अच्छा।
वो वर्क परमिट में गई थी, उधर ही रहती थी और उसका अगले साल एक्सीडेंट हो गया था इंडिया में ही। फिर उसका वर्क परमिट था, उसको जाना ही पड़ता था, तो उसका ट्रीटमेंट पूरा नहीं हुआ था, तो ये ट्रीटमेंट के लिए वापस आई थी। उसका 7 या 8 टीथ निकल गया था।
अच्छा।
तो इम्प्लांट करवाया, तो पूरा दांत उसका नया लगवाया था।
क्या बता रहे हैं कुछ? अभी आपने सैंपल दिया है?
या 3 दिन लगेगा ऐसा बोले, 72 घंटा लगेगा।
तो खाली वो थे, मतलब मैरिड थे, किस तरीके का?
वो आप मैरिड की रजिस्टर करके गई थी। मैरिज तो उसका अगले साल करने का था, मैरिज नहीं हुआ था, मैरिज करने का था अगले साल।
Continue to track that story and keep getting you more updates. And now to the other top international story, and this is also what we are keeping our eyes focused on this afternoon. Do remember, the entire Middle East region right now is on the edge. Wondering why? Because Israel has carried out strikes on Iran's nuclear program early on Friday, with you have huge blasts that have been heard in Tehran. Iran has also retaliated to the attack and has fired at least 100 drones towards Israel. Israel has declared a state of emergency. It says the country expected retaliation. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that strikes were a part of the Operation Rising Lion. He's also said that Iran was a threat to Israel's very survival. First up, we listen into what we've heard from him, followed by a reportage with our colleague Trent from Tel Aviv.
Moments ago, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat to Israel's very survival. This operation will continue for as many days as it takes to remove this threat. For decades, the tyrants of Tehran have brazenly, openly called for Israel's destruction. They've backed up their genocidal rhetoric with a program to develop nuclear weapons.
A state of emergency has now been declared across Israel after the IDF confirmed it has launched waves of airstrikes across Iran, targeting both military leadership as well as nuclear enrichment facilities. All mobile phones here in Israel received an emergency alert at just after 3 in the morning local time, advising them that this state of emergency had been declared. It was followed up by another alert telling people to remain close to their shelters throughout the day. We are hearing that here in Tel Aviv, the underground light rail system has opened up all of its stations in order for people to use as public shelters. We are also being told that several major hospitals have begun clearing their underground car parks in order to be able to operate underground in anticipation of what the Iranian response will be to all of this. Now, we know that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, addressing the nation, has confirmed that this is an operation that could take several days. It is a major blow for the Iranians. We are hearing that ballistic missile areas were targeted, military bases, as well as those key underground nuclear facilities. Interestingly, though, the United States is saying that Israel has acted unilaterally here. In other words, the Americans did not take part in this combat operation. The big question, though, becomes now what the response will be. Certainly the message from Tehran is that it will be a significant response. It could include hundreds of ballistic missiles being fired at Israel. We've certainly seen that before in similar attacks. The question then becomes whether the Americans will jump in to help Israel and its Iron Dome defense system be able to try and intercept some of those missiles. But certainly the message right now from Israel is that the country is now on a war footing and is preparing for that Iranian response. Trent Murray, NDTV in Tel Aviv.
So we'll continue to track that story. Also keep getting you more live reportage right now coming in from Ahmedabad, also on the other side of this quick break.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
The government could be considering the Dreamliner safety probe. Sources say domestic 7878 fleet could be grounded. A safety review is also possible. The Prime Minister earlier was in Ahmedabad. He visited the crash site and also the civil hospital, and he's also met with the former Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani's family. This is India's biggest air tragedy in the last 3 decades. It's a multi-agency probe that is underway. Search is still on for the black box. Israel has launched preemptive strikes against Iran. The Iranian airspace is closed. Multiple flights have been diverted.
Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad. India's latest aviation disaster. India responds to the tragedy. Facts first, 100% ground reports.
Under this is the tail,
Here, and this is just one of the buildings that will give you an idea of the quantum of loss.
24 to 48 hours is the deadline that has been given for the DNA testing.
Maximum reporters, maximum coverage on NDTV. If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India. It matters to India. And it matters to me. And it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru. Only on NDTV 24/7.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
मैं
नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि एनडीए सरकार में हम अगले 10 साल में विकसित भारत के सपने को साकार करके रहेंगे। अटल से तो विकसित भारत की तस्वीर है। प्रेरणा और प्रगति जब एक साथ जुड़ते हैं तो एक नए युग की नींव पड़ती है। भारत माता की
The last 1 month, if you see, the share prices of Genzol Engineering has fallen more than 58%.
Why are the rating firms calling the debt payments as default?
We have 2 credible credit rating agencies on March 4th coming and downgrading the stock to D.
Statements are consistently being proven wrong, and transactions are being taken place which are different from what they were originally pictured to be.
The company claimed it would roll out 6,400 electric vehicles. But what it has rolled out is a shocking scam. Funds meant for the
What happened? What led to the crash? What is the theory about the black box? Have we been able to find it? And what do we know about the investigation so far? I think those are multiple questions that continue to dominate the biggest story. As we are reporting on the biggest tragedy in the skies that we have seen in a long time, and NDTV's team of reporters is on ground zero, letting you a lot of that live coverage in just a moment. But first up, as always, a quick check of the headlines. A day after the crash, the focus is on locating the black box. The black box is the key to unraveling the disaster. The efforts are underway to retrieve it. The safety review of the Boeing 787 fleet will also be taking place. The Prime Minister is in Ahmedabad. He earlier visited the crash site. He also visited the civil hospital. And he also met with the former Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani's family.
जैसे मेरा डोर टूटा ना सब, तो मैंने देखा ना जब सामने कि थोड़ा इधर पेश है, तो मैं ट्राई कर सकता हूँ निकलने के लिए, तो मैंने ट्राई किया निकलने के लिए, तो फिर मैं निकल गया उधर.
That is a lone survivor narrating his ordeal. The Prime Minister has met with him earlier at the hospital. The survivor says the door broke on the impact. I jumped out. I never thought I would survive this crash. Our top international story at this hour: Israel has struck Iranian nuclear military targets. Iran has launched over 100 drones towards Israel. Trump has warned Iran to agree to a nuclear deal or face even more brutal attacks, he says. So this is a tragedy of a humongous proportion. You have multiple lives lost, but a lot of questions still. And let me quickly take it across to our colleague Ankit, who's joining us from Ground Zero. He's been there for the last many hours. Ankit, what is it that you can tell us?
Well, Deepthi, like you said, it's a tragedy of the magnitude that people, at least in Ahmedabad, for many years are not going to forget. Of course, not even taking a moment away from those who have lost their families, how their lives have been turned completely upside down. It's just over 24 hours. It was around 1:40 yesterday at this very moment when this entire area behind me was an absolute inferno. At 1:40, the remnants of that aircraft, AI-171, that crashed into that doctor's mess where junior doctors were having their lunch at that point of time. When I'd gone inside there, last night, there were still plates with food, and it would tell you that how their day was going at that point of time till the time this impact took place on their mess. And post that, for at least next 3 to 4 hours. The temperatures here, while Ahmedabad recorded about 39 degrees Celsius, the temperatures around 600 meters of this entire area, in fact, a few kilometers, especially in the hostel area, was experts saying could have touched about 1000 degrees Celsius because of that explosion that took place on the plane's impact as it crashed into that building. And since then, it's been, about 26 hours, and still people are wrapping their head around to what has happened. And like you mentioned, there have been questions and many questions and more questions that now need to be answered. One key to that question is going to be the mystery of the black box. Sources in Air India still telling us that the efforts are on to retrieve the black box. So at this moment, the black box has not been retrieved. Now, try and understand how important that black box is and where is that black box located. Usually in a flight like 787, Boeing 787 Dreamliner, which was used as far as Air India is concerned on this service. And remember, this aircraft, unblemished record of this aircraft since 2011 when it was made commercially available, that now in fact stands shattered. And apart from that, there are questions being raised because this aircraft is used commercially by not just Air India but many long-haul flights across the world. So the black box would be very, very important, and that is why the importance of this tail section that you are seeing in our screens at this moment. This tail section is usually the rear end of the aircraft where the black box is typically put in a 787. It could vary, as per the adjustments of the airline, but it's largely in the rear end section of the aircraft where the black box is put. It's orange in color, shiny, which so that in case of an eventuality like this, it can be easily recovered. Now, what does the black box do? The black box records the conversation from the cockpit. So whatever the pilot, the co-pilot, the conversations between them, and also the ATC, the air traffic control, all that is recorded in the black box. Apart from that, the black box also records and takes a lot of data, mechanical data, which would eventually tell what went wrong in this flight, which took off, from the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport on its way to London, and it was, in less than a minute, could not even reach the altitude. It seems that it could not generate power. There was zero thrust, and hence the aircraft first went and crashed into this tree and went across to the hostel, where you see a large part of that tail end which is hanging in there. That's where the entire search around the black box is taking place. But remember, the black box is a very sturdy thing. It's manufactured to take a lot of punishment, G-force. It is supposed to, in fact, also withstand these kind of impact on the ground, and it also is supposed to, go into absolute, crazy temperatures, both in terms of infernos or extreme cold as well. Now, all that is, set aside. Till now, more than 24 hours, the recovery of the black box not being done has some questions. Earlier today, I saw a lot of activity on this very rooftop. This was the mess where the food was being prepared. The kitchen was also here. And, now when I can see after a couple of hours, a lot of portion of this has been brought down. It has been broken. The boundary wall has been broken. Some section of the terrace have also been broken. One aspect of that is because it already was heavily damaged. They don't want to risk anything. And they also would not want any further damage to this important section, which is going to hold a lot of clues as far as the investigation in this entire crash is concerned. Teams from the DGCA, from the airport, from the air crash investigation unit of the government, the Civil Aviation Ministry, all of those teams, more than 3 dozen people since last night have been going across this entire area. But unfortunately, at this moment, the black box has not been found. And that remains the very important, crucial link. That remains also the most important development development that now needs to come as far as this entire story is concerned. Remember, whatever comes out of the black box, it will also determine in some way that, what went wrong and corrective measures that can be taken as far as the other aircrafts are concerned. That's one end of the story. That's the end where the crash took place, where we are talking about what could have gone wrong and, of course, the devastating scenes that we saw. But in a moment, in just less than 52 seconds for 241 people on board that aircraft out of the 242, and many, those who were on the ground, junior doctors, people who used to work at the civil hospital, their life just turned, and it turned how? 241 lives lost, all on board the aircraft, one miraculous survivor on 11A seat, and we have heard what that man had to say. But apart from that, now the number could be even over 15, but people, those who lost their life as far as this mess is concerned, and the junior doctors, because the inferno engulfed many, many buildings. Let's first listen in to some reactions, of the families, those who are actually living a nightmare after this air crash.
मैं समझती हूँ कि आपके लिए, आपके परिवार के लिए ये बहुत ही ज़्यादा सैड टाइम है। ये बताइए कि आपके मन में क्या चल रहा है सर, क्योंकि ये बहुत बड़ी घटना हुई है, आपने अपनी बहन को खोया है, आपके मन में अभी क्या चल रहा है?
देखिए, हमारे मन में तो क्या चलना है, हमारे परिवार का सदस्य था, वो हमसे छीन लिया गया। अब हमारे पास चलने के लिए क्या था? मन में ये चल रहा था कि बहन बाहर जाएगी, लंदन अपने सपनों की उड़ान उड़ेगी, और अब क्या रहा।
थान सिंह जी, थोड़ा अपनी बहन के बारे में बताइए कि हमने उनके फोटोज देखे थे और वो बहुत खुश लग रही थी, उनके क्या एक्सपेक्टेशंस थे, थोड़ा उनके बारे में बताइए, कैसी थी वो, और उनके बारे में सबसे अच्छी बात क्या थी?
देखिए, वो हमारा जो पारिवारिक कल्चर है उस हिसाब से वो हमेशा हमारे साथ में रही, और प्रथम बार वो बाहर की यात्रा कर रही थी। कभी इंडिया में भी बाहर कहीं नहीं गई, वो यहीं पढ़ाई की, यहीं परिवार के बीच में रही, दादाजी के साथ, फिर बाद में शादी हुई, और अब जा रही थी बाहर। लेकिन दुख की बात यह है कि 72 घंटे का हमें समय दिया गया, इस समय को हम गुजारे कैसे यहाँ अहमदाबाद में बैठे बैठे। सबसे बड़ी दुख की बात यह है, भारत आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव मना रहा है, और आज आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव में हमारे सामने ये विपदा खड़ी है कि 72 घंटे लगेंगे हमारी पारिवारिक सदस्य की बॉडी को पहचानने में। ये बड़ा दुख का विषय है। कहाँ है भारत का सिस्टम? कोई हमें बता सकता है क्या ये आपकी बहन है, ये आपकी बेटी है? कोई है हमारे सामने ऐसा महान पुरुष जो आके बोले कि ये आपकी बेटी है और आप ले जाइए इसका शव और अंतिम संस्कार कीजिए? हमारे सामने दिक्कत अब दूसरी खड़ी हो गई है।
सर, इसके बारे में थोड़ा बताइए, क्योंकि बॉडीज बहुत ही ज़्यादा चार्ड हैं और बताया जा रहा है कि डीएनए टेस्टिंग हो रही है, लेकिन मैं समझती हूँ कि ये बहुत ही दुख का समय है, और जिस तरह ये हादसा हुआ है उससे भी काफ़ी चैलेंजेस बढ़ गए हैं। अभी आपकी फैमिली को किस तरह की दिक्कतों का सामना करना पड़ रहा है?
मैडम, आज हम हिंदू धर्म में रहने वाले लोग हैं। हमारे में दाह संस्कार, अग्नि संस्कार, ये जो होता है कितना बड़ा होता है। अगर आज 72 घंटे बाद, 72 घंटे तक हमें समय दिया गया है कि 72 घंटे बाद बॉडी मिलेगी, क्या भारत की ट्रेनों पे, भारत के बड़े बड़े हर जगह पे होर्डिंग लगाकर आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव इसलिए मनाया जा रहा था कि किसी परिवार में कोई घटना हो जाए और उस घटना के बाद उनको ले जाने के लिए 72 घंटे, 80 घंटे, 5 दिन वेट करना पड़े? क्या यही भारत का आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव है? मैं भारत सरकार से सवाल कर रहा हूँ, आज मेरे परिवार की पीड़ा के नाते सवाल कर रहा हूँ। मैं अहमदाबाद में बैठा हूँ कल रात से।
राइट।
It is absolutely heartbreaking, and while I was at the hospital last night, the Kotaki Bhavan, which has been converted into the staging area for the DNA sampling, a lot of people, it just was just heartbreaking to see the kind of people, those who were coming there. And now it is going to be first a traumatic news and now an absolutely devastating wait to receive whatever has the remains of their loved ones. My colleague Aishwarya has been continuously reporting from the civil hospital. Aishwarya, any adjective that I use, heartbreaking, devastating, so and so forth, it seems it still is not enough to convey what the family members of those who have passed away in this tragedy, not only the ones at 241 who were on board this aircraft, but also on the ground. Whatever remains of them, that remains to be the key question. At least a closure for the people, those who have lost their loved ones. That also, at this moment, far away.
Well, certainly, Ankit, no words to express their feelings, and that's what I'm witnessing since morning over here at Civil Hospital. This is the Kasauti Bhavan, where numbers are increasing hour by hour, and people are giving their DNA samples. The family members who have been desperately waiting to know about their loved ones, because it is Air India which has officially confirmed that it is almost 241 of those on board had been killed. And this is the BJ Medical College, Ahmedabad. The pictures that you can see on your screens, over here the DNA samples have been given, and after being mashed, which takes almost 24 to 48 hours, the bodies are being handed over from the post-mortem room just few meters away. But these visuals, as you can see around me, these are family members standing, waiting since last night, and they are waiting to hear from the authorities as to how they can get some sort of information as to what their and where the bodies had been kept. But certainly I've been talking to several of them since morning. It is either their brother, mother, sister-in-law. They have come all the way from Surat, Baroda, and different parts of the countries who are traveling, and their relatives were traveling in this flight. Full family, in fact, had been also someone who became deceased of this tragic crash that yesterday took place. But since morning also I've been witnessing is the entire administration, the Gujarat administration, from Home Minister Harsh Sanghvi to Health Minister Rishikesh Patel, all have been very, very actively coming over here, giving instructions to fast pace the entire process of having the DNA test and to match them with their loved ones. Of course, there had been a separate meeting that took place with Harsh Sanghvi and the top police officials as well here at the hospital. On the other side is there were several of the small, we have been told, small shops just near the hostel area, and the family members were crying out there as well outside the postmortem room, because they said that a little 3-year-old boy and his mother died because of this crash. They were also impacted. So these are kind of stories that I'm witnessing since morning. Family members are still waiting, and they have said that they will not leave until and unless they will get any sort of information. Of course, the investigation is taking on one side, but these are these feelings can't be expressed. Their eyes, still tears can be seen in their eyes, but perhaps they had stated that they will continue to wait till the time they don't get any answers.
Right. Thank you, Aishwarya. Stay on with me. Like you were saying, heartbreaking stories and how people are at this moment dealing with this tragedy. Let me very quickly also show you, because it was too hot a short while back. Now we can see the workers are back. These are the teams, who are involved in the investigation. You will see a lot of people suddenly come back on that roof who are wearing the fluorescent jackets. And what they are trying to do, I've been told, like I told you earlier, they were trying to break some sections of the roof. Now the whole idea is to try and safely somehow get this entire tail section down and then do a thorough investigation whether the black box somehow is lodged somewhere inside. You would see a lot of people standing there in those fluorescent jackets and being directed what to do next. So we'll keep getting you the details as we speak, but I want to just shift the focus once again back, ladies and gentlemen, to the human cost of this story. Ibrahim was just 8 months old, not fully, yet being able to understand the world that he was born in just about 8 months back. My colleague Abhishek caught up with his family, and it's heartbreaking for any father that he had to give a DNA sample to identify his 8-month-old son. His sample has matched. Ibrahim remains are now being given.
हमारे साथ डॉक्टर नवीन हैं और जिनके ब्रदर इन लॉ फ्लाइट पे थे और उनका 8 महीने का जो बच्चा है उसने सैंपल दिया है, उनको ये लेके आए थे। क्या कैसे आपको पता चला और क्या ये पूरा हादसा हुआ, जरा अगर बताना चाहेंगे?
सर हमको तो न्यूज़ के थ्रू ही पता लगा इस हादसे के बारे में, और बस बाकी तो सबको पता ही है सर जो हुआ वो।
नहीं, जैसे कि आप बता रहे हैं उनकी वाइफ और बच्चे यहाँ थे, वो आगे गए, इस तरीके की बात समझ में आ रही है?
जी सर, वो उनकी फ़्लाइट अगले हफ्ते थी और वो इस हफ्ते उनका मतलब जाने का था उनके हस्बैंड का, तो बस यहाँ ड्रॉप करना है हम, और विदिन फ्यू मिनट्स पता लगा कि ये हादसा हुआ।
उनका नाम बताएंगे?
मोहम्मद अदनान।
मोहम्मद अदनान जी पहले जाने वाले थे, उसके बाद वाइफ और बच्चा जाने वाला था और आपने उन्हें ड्रॉप किया था?
मैं मतलब फैमिली वाले आए थे ड्रॉप करने।
For the rest of his life, whenever Ibrahim asked about his father, he would be told that the deepest connection possibly was that his DNA sample matched with his father, and that's how his father was identified after this plane crash. It's absolutely tragic and heartbreaking. Our condolences to Ibrahim and his family. Let me once again very quickly show you that what you are seeing on your screens at this moment is the tail end section of this aircraft, where a lot of activity once again. People have come out on this roof, and what they are trying to do is trying to ascertain how this entire wreckage can be brought down, because this section becomes, as I've been saying again and again, becomes extremely important with respect to in fact the entire investigation, because this is where supposedly the black box is in fact, and it's so far not being found. There has been a DVR which has been found, but nothing as far as the black box is concerned. Let me very quickly at this moment, ladies and gentlemen, once again through the help of the artificial intelligence play out some important information regarding the black box, because as I said, the focus of the entire investigation comes to the black box. This black box, as far as this probe is concerned, the hunt for the black box is the prime focus of the investigators, and the black box in fact holds the key as far as this probe is concerned. The boxes are designed for maximum survivability, as I was telling you earlier, and that will become the most important aspect as far as this investigation, where it goes from here. Apart from this, I can also show you some visuals this side. What we are being told, one of the machines, in fact, is being taken towards, it looks like a heavy machinery, a crane sort of machinery, which they are trying to take onto that location, and possibly will be used to bring that entire section down. What you see once again on that roof are a lot of people, those who have come again. My sense is that this has been done to all of them. They will try and use some mechanism to pick or to scoop over this entire section and bring it down, because I can see a lot of heavy machinery being moved towards that area. But this is where things stand as far as this entire plane crash investigation is concerned. Very important moments that we are witnessing at this right now, and my sense is that all those people are trying to secure that tail end of the aircraft, which would eventually be taken out or at least been brought down by the big machinery that is moving towards it. Deepti, if I can come back to you at this moment, it's about 4:25. All right, Aishwarya is still with me. Let me very quickly get in a word from him. Aishwarya, while the investigation picks up pace, the focus is on the black box. For the families there, could you give us a sense, has there been any confirmation on how many people died on the ground? What's the total tally? Because so far, the only confirmation that has come in is from Air India, about 241 passengers on board the AI-171, which crashed yesterday.
Well, the officials haven't confirmed the numbers as to how many casualties took place, where the crash site and at the undergraduate hostel, but they are still calculating. Several bodies are being recovered from the hostel itself, but it is just not, remember, the human beings which had been impacted, animals to birds, because of the level of the fuel that was in the aircraft and the amount of fireball that it generated within few seconds. It also impacted that. But as I said, there were family members that I met just outside the postmortem room who were coming from the villages just located nearby, the small shops that were owned by very, very cluster cluster colonies and those people living in those areas, from 8-month-old boy to 5-year-old boy to his mother. All of those are something that the numbers are still being calculated by the officials. So that has not been revealed yet. But what we've been confirmed is that 6 bodies have been handed over to the family members of the locals, and those were locals. The government have requested the foreign national family members that they should come and give their DNA, and that will be at this location only. This is Kasauti Bhavan. And one thing very interesting that I am also witnessing over here in Ahmedabad, one thing which is very different that I wanted to share to our viewers as well, that there are several organizations that I see since morning, the NGOs that have come up, other organizations that want to help the family members out there, including the Gujarat government, who has officially stated that apart from whatever help they can provide, the mental stability is something that is very important, and therefore every sort of help, be it from food to giving them some sort of comfort, these organizations are coming out since morning. They are waiting. They have some of the packets in their hands, or they have brought in some sort of food to provide them. They are sitting inside. The family members are waiting for their turn to come, until the time these people are assisting them from every age group, from every sect. I have been witnessing here in the civil hospital. At least this is one thing which is happening to assure that there is much help that they can be provided, so that they could be getting a mental stability, as what has been gone within 24 hours in their minds is something that has been devastating. It is still tears in the eyes, which I can see over here at the civil hospital. They are waiting. These people are waiting outside the Kasauti Bhavan for their chance. And of course, on one side, as you rightly mentioned, investigation is going on. The committees have been formed by the central government. All assistance will be given. Black box is something that the authorities are trying to find out as soon as possible to get out the more information as to why this crash happened. On the other side, of course, humanitarian angle is very important, and that's where the government is doing at its best to provide them and to fast-track the entire DNA testing process.
That's right. While the effort is to try and fast-track the DNA testing process, but it won't be earlier than 48 to 72 hours is what the experts are telling us. Some developments, very fast-paced developments which are taking place here, an increase in the activity on this rooftop. The hunch is that they are probably trying to, in fact, take this down, bring this entire tail section down. I can see a lot of heavy machinery being also moved towards that place. Remember, at 10:30 a.m. today, the SDRF and NDRF were given a green signal to clear the debris from the accident site and try and clean this entire area. There is a method which has been employed as far as that cleaning process is concerned. Section by section, they will be picking up debris which will be packed differently, marked and then sent so that it can be analyzed later. But we were just watching this. Some of the people, those who are on this rooftop, have also gone a little inside as far as this cone that you are seeing is concerned. That's the tail end part of this aircraft, and we can hear, I can't see from here because of the tree cover, but I can hear that there are some machineries which are being moved. I'm yet not sure whether it is to pick this up and bring it down, but certainly an increase in the activity on this rooftop here of the mess where we have been reporting since morning, the only vantage point to see this entire area. Yesterday, and I spoke to a few of the doctors, those who were present in other buildings when this crash took place, today taking their stuff out. Many of them saying that their vehicles, whether it was a motorcycle, a scooter or their cars, all has been burnt, completely charred and absolutely, been absolutely melted in the malign, the mangled, in fact, the remains, the debris of this entire crash, which is strewn in and across this area for about 500 to 600 meters. So that's the latest, in fact, as far as this entire investigation is concerned. The important focus, the thrust at this moment is to find the black box.
Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad, India's latest aviation disaster. India responds to the tragedy. Facts first, 100% ground reports.
Under this is the tail,
Here, and this is just one of the buildings that will give you an idea of the quantum of loss.
24 to 48 hours is the deadline that has been given for the DNA testing.
Maximum reporters, maximum coverage on NDTV.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
News is not just headlines, it is what impacts you. And news should never be mistaken for noise. What matters is the reality. Accurate, in-depth, and with the right perspective. For over 20 years, I have been a journalist, and never has clarity mattered more than now. At Newsnight, we go beyond the surface. We dissect the details, challenge the narratives, and bring you the unparalleled clarity you deserve in a world clouded by misinformation. We are bold, we are direct. Newsnight, for the news in your interest. Only on NDTV 24/7.
After 2 years of the India-Canada tensions, it's the big relationship reboot. Indian Prime Minister heads to the G7 summit. Indispensable India on the global stage. Modi's multilateral momentum. NDTV live from the G7 summit in Canada.
Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad, India's latest aviation disaster. India responds to the tragedy. Facts first, 100% ground reports.
Under this is the tail,
Here, and this is just one of the buildings that will give you an idea of the quantum of loss.
24 to 48 hours is the deadline that has been given for the DNA testing.
Maximum reporters, maximum coverage on NDTV. If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India. It matters to India. It matters to India. And it matters to me. And it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru. Only on NDTV 24/7.
Why was there a hurry? Was it the government that was in a hurry?
I don't want to blame anyone.
Joining us today here in the NDTV newsroom.
Government cannot walk away from this responsibility.
Cricket is religion of sort in this country. Would you like to comment on what happened?
What is the condition of the injured at this point? How many people died?
What exactly happened? You have lost your daughter.
In the wake of Pahalgam, all eyes on the Amarnath Yatra. Amidst fear, faith and fortitude. India's biggest fight against terror. NDTV reports on the holy route, the Amarnath spirit.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I
or
hold
lifetime
CDSL for the long term? Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Is your business future ready? Join the 13-week strategic ESG certification program for business sustainability and growth for CXO and business leaders by NDTV, Terry and Zenora. Master global ESG frameworks, gain real-world tools, and lead with impact. Starts July 13th. Enroll now and power your business with sustainability.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know Your Company, powered by NDTV Profit Research, shines a light on the biggest stock market movers.
It is the biggest aviation disaster that you have seen in the last many years. There are many unanswered questions. We are tracking the investigation. We'll also tell you more about the black box and a lot of other things in just a moment. I also want to take it across to our colleague Ankit, who's been reporting relentlessly from Ground Zero. Ankit, where you are, I do see a portion of the tail of that plane. So why don't you take it away? Please move your cameras and tell us more of what we see.
Absolutely. That's the most moving picture that you will see at this moment, the importance of this tail section, the largest, the section which is still not completely disintegrated of this entire aircraft. Apart from that, the cockpit, the fuselage, the entire aircraft completely charred and burned. Now, what is happening is suddenly, after a break of about couple of hours, there are these people, those who have come on top, seems to be from the agencies, either the NDRF or others from the Air Crash Investigation Bureau as well. All of them are on the top. What is the important thing at this moment is that they are trying to secure this entire tail section. And hopefully the attempt is to try and bring it down, because they are already removing the debris. I can see a JCB machine, an earth mover, which has been pressed into action. When I was there last night, and we saw, in fact, in the morning when the Prime Minister also went there, when this aircraft crashed into this mess, it broke the terrace, it broke many of the section of the wall. All that debris is lying under. So the JCB is clearing that debris, and after that I've been told that there would be possibly an attempt, because I can see some very heavy, some big cranes being moved as we speak. Whether they are to try and get this entire section down, and would they be able to bring it down in one piece is the big question, because since morning there were things being done all around that tail. They were in fact drilling was taking place at that moment, and they were trying to break down the area or at least the remaining terrace, because of course it's a dangerous structure. They would also want some sort of space for work. So that's what seems to be happening at this moment. This area also becomes very, very important, because the black box is yet to be found. Remember, we spoke to Air India, and Air India has very clearly mentioned that at this moment they have not confirmed about the recovery of the black box. There is one DVR which has been found, but that of course does not hold the kind of important information that the black box in fact provides. It's a large box which is usually placed at the tail end section of the aircraft, and it's pinkish orange in color, and that's what in fact becomes the focus of the entire investigation as far as this crash site is concerned, Deepthi.
All right, so Ankit there, remember, is getting us more details, and these are very dramatic images. Remember, the tail is what you see here. You still see a lot of this smoke billowing out, and that is the portion. And this is what also houses the black box, something that is crucial to the entire investigation that Ankit has been talking about. And this is what will tell us more about those last few seconds. What happened in the last 30 seconds? Why was the plane not able to pick up enough thrust? Now, these are graphics that our team has been able to build up to help you understand just minute-by-minute details of what happened. The aircraft's black box is what we are trying to explain to you. You look at the plane now. Where is it placed? It's placed somewhere in the tail. And this is the tail that you also see right now, just behind Ankit from where he was reporting. So this is why a lot of focus is shifting there right now. It's in the tail, and it actually consists of two devices. And something that we need to reiterate again and again, black box is not black. That is a misnomer. It's orange or yellowish, essentially, to garner a lot of attention. So these are the two devices we are talking about, 1 and 2. This is placed when it comes to the black box, and it's in the part of the tail. Let's get you more details of what these two portions are. The first device is the FDR, that is a flight data recorder. You see this placed right here, the black one. Now this is to record a lot of these details of the communication that happened via the ATC, what is the pilot wanting to say. All this is recorded in this particular device. Let's bring up the details of the second device. Now this is the cockpit voice recorder, the CVR. Again, this is placed somewhere here, again close to the portion of the tail, if you look at this particular animation to help you understand. Let's bring up more details as far as this particular black box is concerned. What does this also do is captures the timing and the sequence of event, something that holds the key to what happened. We all want answers to those questions. What happened? Was this an engine failure? Was this something else? Was some technical snag? The second device that we just spoke about, which is the cockpit voice recorder, It helps separate a lot of this technical faults / the human error. And this is again where a lot of this data is going to get studied by the experts. Sometimes it takes a lot of time to just study this data, but this will help answer a lot of those questions. And this gives you minute details which are a key to the cash probe. And this is exactly why all the focus is now shifting to the black box. Have we been able to find the black box yet? The answer is no, but there are a lot more other details and the probe that is still underway. This is in fact a real-time image that we are just focusing on the tail here, and this is what houses the black box. We'll quickly hit a break. On the other side, more coverage, more live reportage, more details of what we know about the black box. So far, don't go anywhere.
How often have you turned away from debates that descend into endless fights? We bring you a show where every question is answered, where every debate finds its resolution, where every story finds its conclusion, where opinions collide but facts prevail, where stories unfold with insights and trust. When the noise ends, the last word begins.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India. It matters to India. And it matters to me. And it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru. Only on NDTV 24/7.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
मैं नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि एनडीए सरकार में हम अगले 10 साल में विकसित भारत के सपने को साकार करके रहेंगे। अटल से तो विकसित भारत की तस्वीर है, प्रेरणा।
It is the crash that raises a lot of questions, and it is a crash that obviously needs to be investigated. But how will it be investigated? The clues lie in the black box. Where is the black box? The black box somewhere is in the tail of this particular plane. These, remember, are live images that we have cut across here on our screens to just help you understand what we are talking about as we speak. This is a team of the investigative agencies along with the relief and rescue teams that right now are there, also trying to move a lot of these portions to be able to secure the black box right from here. that actually consists of two portions. One is a portion that records the voice data records that continuously get communicated between the pilot and the ATC. And the other, remember, is also to secure a lot of other data that